Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome, good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Good times with Oyoshiro-sama. I was watching TV with Satoko and Hanyu after eating dinner. It was a variety show and the performers were making the audience laugh. We were laughing too. Ho 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 ho. Look at you now. Oh, but it looks so painful. Nipah. All three of us were enjoying ourselves. In reality, there was only Satoko and me in the room. I'm the only one who can see Hanyu. Satoko can't see her at all. Hanyu responds every time Satoko says something. Satoko can't hear her, but Hanyu still responds to her when she's in a good mood. It's like she's answering a question asked on TV. You could even compare it to playing house. She started playing this game with other people because she can't communicate with anyone else but me. Hanyu always attends our club meetings and has a good time there too. If she could communicate with my other friends, she would have been a good match for us. What this makes me curious on is Hanyu's reaction to the events of the other 6 games. But I don't want to hurt her feelings by thinking about that. And the story of the miracle written in the old scriptures is true. If it's really Hanyu who performed it, she's someone who had tremendous power long ago. But now she doesn't have any spiritual power, and I'm the only one who can even see her. Hanyu has never told me how she lost her power. I just have to assume that her spiritual power diminished over time. There's a legend in the Furude family that says that Oyoshiro-sama will be reborn if a girl is born to the family 7 generations in a row. With my birth, Hanyu was finally able to communicate with a human for the first time in centuries. Does that mean Oyoshiro-sama has returned? The villager's image of Oyoshiro-sama doesn't quite match up with that of Hanyu, especially when I see her lying on her belly, watching TV with Satoko. What? I know I've heard some people mention it before, but They were serious about that. This world always has a lot of nice suggestions, but they're mostly out of politeness, right? They're just something you laugh off and reply with, "That would be nice." But those ideas generally end as jokes, so it's crazy when they turn real. Yeah, I'm serious. Uncle Yushiro was giving you a ton of praise, too. He said it was amazing how well that pop-up pirate game went in the toy store yesterday. I had no idea you could play that game like that. I should mention that some of the kids around my table wanted to play with you too. Keiichi is a genius when it comes to playing games. You know, I wasn't just playing around, I was giving it my all, because I had no choice but to win. I guess we made it look like a lot of fun for the audience, though. You definitely have a blast, no matter what club activity you're doing, Kei-chan. The coach was saying that the Hinamizawa fighters would be so happy if you joined the team. That's very true. Dr. Eri had nothing but great things to say about you at the meeting last night, Amabara-kun. You have the ability to bring people joy, and far more than you think you do. You think so? This old man didn't mention your name just 'cause you're his friend. He did it because he's confident you can do the job. I was there at the meeting too, and no one was against the idea. Mabara-kun, you honestly do have a good reputation around the village. I am not looking respectfully. I've heard good things about you in Okonomiya too. I am looking even less respectfully now. What you did in the match between Hinamizawa fighters and the Okonomiya Titans was legendary. It really was incredible. The reporters were there to see Kameyaru-san, but they were more impressed by you. They're talking about the rigged baseball match I set up with Kamada-kun. The public did end up believing that the talented pitcher walked me out of fear of my insight. Kamada-kun and I have entered a strange relationship since then, but I'd rather not talk about it right now. What do you think, Keiichi-kun? I think you can do it. I'm backing you up, too. I definitely think you should be in charge of the Watanagashi Planning Committee. Watanagashi is an annual village festival held in June. It's supposed to be the biggest event in the village, and most of the people living here gather together for it. Since this is a major event, they always organize a committee to plan out the festival a few months in advance. The festival is only 2 weeks away, and I just moved to this village, but now they want me to join that committee? Look, first of all, I don't even know what you do in a committee. You don't need to be too concerned about it. The job we unanimously want you to fill is hosting the auction. What the hell is that? Do you want me to sell bananas or something? Well, let me explain. We're holding an auction event for the first time this year. We're going to auction off donated items just to see how it turns out. There's kind of a long story behind it. We wanted to do something in which everyone can participate, using donated items as prizes, but the older members decided to distribute the prizes using something other than a lottery, for their own reasons. To put it simply, our hag of a grandmother let her temper get to her and wouldn't back down after that. But she didn't really consider any specifics. Yep, Anyway, we had to come up with how to utilize those donated items. At that point, we thought of doing an auction. That sounds like fun. Yep, you might be able to get something good for a really cheap price. It's fun just to watch the show, too. The items were all donated, so they were free, huh? That committee sure is good at making money. The profit will be going to the beer fund for the village committee's winter getaway trip. It's not fair. You're not ready for beer yet, Ruhude-san. She is 5 times your age, Chie. I think I understand what's going on now, but still, I've never done anything like it before. I'm sure you can do it, Keiichi-kun. I bet you'd do really well if they told you that you'd get to keep 10% of the profits. Well, yeah, if I can gain something for producing results, then I'll do my best at it. On the other hand, you might be facing a dreadful penalty game if you don't produce anything. Wait a minute, Satoko, why would I agree to a risky deal like that? Don't forget they are the ones asking for my help. I'm a very busy guy, you know. Try asking my agent first. Alright, Kei-chan. If you want some kind of compensation, we can talk about it. I really want you to be a part of this. We can make a deal. That sounds interesting. I wonder what I should ask for. We're always talking about punishments, but it's our first time talking about a reward. That's true. We're always fighting for something, huh? Ren is right. The whole purpose of our club activities is to escape the punishments we come up with. Even if we win, we never get a prize or reward for it. Keiichi has no idea how to respond to something that sounds too good to be true. Maybe Mi-chan can come up with a good idea. It's hard to decide on what you want, isn't it? Let me see. How about this? An admission ticket to the Angel Mort's dessert fiesta. Don't be too cheap, sis. Why don't you give him 3 years worth of admission? Hey, that sounds more like a deluxe reward to me. I heard that some people pay lots of money for that ticket. Are you sure you can hook me up with 3 years worth of admission? Of course I can. The irony is this. We're never even going to get to use a single bit of that ticket. But you have to do a good job. I'm sure he will. With Keiichi-kun there, it's going to be heaps of fun. I feel the same way. I'm really looking forward to the auction now. Yeah, you could probably get people to line up for a takoyaki that doesn't even contain octopus. Hey, takoyaki without octopus? That's impossible. No, I'm pretty sure you could do it. Yeah, he'd probably say it was healthier kind of takoyaki. Are you making fun of me or what? So what do you think, Mamoru-kun? And yes, don't think I don't get the fact that They made a reference to one of the earlier chapters of what just happened. So what do you think, Mamoru-kun? I think you'll do a wonderful job. Chie-sensei was also on the committee. She must have backed up Mion's suggestion when she brought my name up at their last meeting. I'd also love to see what kind of magic you can do. Nipah! A good auction always depends on how good a speaker the host is. Sounds like it's going to be Keiji Mabura's big show. It'll be so much fun just to watch. Hey, I haven't accepted the offer yet. Don't worry, Keiji-kun. You can do it. You're saying that because you don't have to. How? That's not true. The principal suddenly opened his mouth. Mamoru-kun, in my opinion, you will do a fine job. As a man, isn't it your responsibility to meet people's expectations? If I had to, I'm sure I could do it. Mion has made me do so many different things for the club, and I've learned a lot from that. Besides, this would be the first time I could get a reward without having to worry about punishment. It should be fun, too. This is the first time so many people were counting on me like this. To be honest, it made me pretty happy. Still, I was worried about getting dragged into something that would require a lot of work. I couldn't erase that thought from my mind. But I was in Hinamizawa. The people in this village would never do anything to betray me. They genuinely believed that it would do a lot to liven up the festival if I became the host of their auction. I've only been here for a short period of time, but I know that the people here are honest and kind. Fine. As a man, I'm going to do it. I'll take care of it. Wait and see. I'll make it the greatest auction in the world. Don't forget to give me the Angel Mort Pass. I'll make sure to do a good enough job that I'll deserve 10 years worth of tickets. Good for you, Kei-chan. Everyone gave me a round of applause. How many times had this happened in my life? Not once. This was the first time I'd ever been applauded. By the way, I'm surprised that no one disagreed with this suggestion at the meeting. There are lots of old people in the village committee. I'm a young guy who only just moved here. I've known for a while that Mion has a lot of influence locally, but I couldn't believe that everyone in the committee would just accept it. Would accept it just like that. Most of them are that kind of hard-headed old people, but the new generation is gradually taking over, you know? We won the dam conflict, and now we're aiming to build a new era and grow more and more prosperous. That's why we value the involvement of young people, and people from outside the village too. You're young, and you're from the city. You also have a good reputation, so you're the perfect guy for this. I have a good reputation, huh? I have no idea why so many people have heard of me. Bah! Thought I messed up the audio. It's something to do with Michan's punishments, I think. I knew it! Ah ha 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 ha. Alright then. I'll call your parents about it tonight, so please let them know when you get back home today, okay? I'm sure my parents will have no problem with it. They won't have any objections to raise, at least. They might ask me why my name was brought up, though. Chie-sensei and the principal went back to the teacher's office after the discussion ended. We were in the middle of lunch break at that moment. Chie-sensei and the principal had come along together, and Mion scared me by saying that they had all had something to talk to me about. My stomach wasn't digesting my lunch particularly well. Mabara-san, I heard everything. Good for you. It's a big honor being chosen by the village committee. Hey there, Tomita-kun and Okumura-kun. I'd love to give that honor to you. No, thank you. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I realized the whole class was talking about me. They were saying how fun the Watanagashi festival was going to be, and how high their expectations were for it. I might have taken on a huge responsibility. I needed to do my best to succeed at it. By the way, I forgot something. My granny made tons of ohagi. She told me to give them to my classmates. Mion clapped her hands as she remembered and took out a box out of her bag. She opened the lid, letting us see a bunch of ohagi neatly packed inside. Wow, there really are a lot. I think there might be enough for everyone in the class to have one. How they look so yummy and cute. For some reason, my granny is very good at making ohagi. That's because Sohei used to love them. Ah yeah, I heard my gramps used to like ohagi. He ate tons of them. For your grandma, ohagi is something that makes her remember your late grandpa, huh? You think so? I thought Gramps liked canned food. Hehehe. You don't like canned food, do you, Shion? What? Is that true? Why so? Well, it's because of the smell. I just don't like the smell of metal. Oh, is that true? Is that so? After always forcing me to eat my squash, it turns out that you two have something you can't eat. To tell you the truth, she hates canned food because hehehe. Come on, sis! Don't you dare tell anyone. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like Mion knows a secret about Shion. Tell it to us. Go on. The reason why Shion doesn't like canned food must have been something pretty funny. The two sisters battled for a while. The machine gun knee kicks Mion launched from close quarters weren't bad, but I don't think she expected Shion to land a capture suplex off of it. Guess Shion is the stronger of the two siblings. I'd rather tell you the truth than have you hear it from my sis. That's funny. In one version of the story, Shion tases Mion and locks her in a cave, and then tases her and pushes her down a well where she snaps her neck. In another version of the story, Mion's the one who tases Shion and then strangles her. See, there's this bad guy named Kasai. He once told me, when I was still young and innocent, that there's sometimes human meat mixed in with canned food. Haha, I've heard of an urban legend like that before. Me too. I once heard that there's dog meat mixed into beef bowls and worms inside burgers. Are you quite serious? I can never eat beef bowls or burgers again after hearing something like that. You see, Satoko, it was a very traumatic thing for me. You have my sympathy, but I still have yet to forget about how you made me eat a full-course squash meal. Squash is good if it's cooked correctly. If it's cooked poorly, then it's awful. You need to let go of that one. That meal was delicious. Ah ha ha. because we're talking about this. I'm starting to get worried there might be something mixed into this ohagi, too. Like a needle? Or Tabasco sauce? Oh? Well, at least with the ohagi that I brought, you can't really be sure that there's nothing else inside. Heh heh heh. Ohagi that Mion brought. When you consider that, it's only natural to suspect that she probably did something to them. What's going on? I felt like I was forgetting something. But I didn't remember anything that I was forgetting. Me too. It was like one of those deja vu moments. I'd never been in this situation, but my mind was telling me that I'd been there before. What's wrong, Keiichi? It's a moment like this. If I could edit, you'd have like a little diagonal or square cut out, and it'd be like popping in as a zoom, and it'd be like alternating from being tipped left to tilt right until the face is like zoomed in on the screen, like something out of like Vampire Survivors. But I don't like the idea of editing anything, so yeah. So between my own laziness and incompetence, or lack of desire, yeah, we're just gonna not edit anything. Nothing. I just feel like Mion has given me ohagi before. But this is the first time, right? Is it? Mi-chan? I think this is the first time. You must be mistaking it for something else. According to my memory, this is the first time Mion-san has brought ohagi to school. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. I would say anyone guess who that theme is from, but then again, I know I did a very, very horrible job at it. But Rika was also thinking that theme right then. Ah, I know. You're being cautious because these are from this old man, aren't you? That's nothing to brag about. I think you should be reflecting on your regular behavior. I mean, if anything horrible's in it, like a needle or Tabasco sauce, I mean, it's not like I'm going to go peanut butter jelly time or anything. Ah, you're right. I wouldn't feel this way if Rena brought me ohagi. Rena's really good at cooking. If only there was a day that Rena and Mion both brought you ohagi to your house. But that would never happen. They're small, but they're very carefully made. Huh? I've never made ohagi before. What? What was I saying? Why did I say that Rena had made ohagi before? Why would I know that Rena makes her ohagi small but neatly? I had no idea where that memory was coming from. I can only assume it was an error in my brain. Mion was saying that this was her first time bringing the ohagi to class. As I tilted my head in confusion, everyone started reaching inside the box. Rena took out one for me and put it on the lid. I stared at it closely. What was I so concerned about? Mion said that I was probably concerned that she did something to the ohagi. But it wasn't quite that. I really didn't know how to explain it. I felt like I was forgetting something important. I had forgotten something important, and all I had was the obligation to remember it. In front of me was nothing but a single ohagi that came from Mion's house. I was frustrated, but I really couldn't think of anything. There's no way I could remember it, because I didn't know anything. Keiichi, You've been staring at your ohagi for a long time. What's the matter? Oh, it's just... I'm experiencing deja vu. Don't you get it sometimes? It's your first time seeing something, but you feel like you've seen it before. So, you feel like Mion has given you ohagi in the past? Ah, I'm sure it's just my imagination. Mion just told me that she had never brought ohagi to school before. Keiichi? You can't have memories of what didn't happen. If you remember something, I'm sure it really happened before. Rika-chan told me something strange. I didn't usually take her random comments seriously. But ever since I saw her making those predictions in the toy store, I've been curious about her special powers. I felt like she was telling me something deep. It's weird to hear that from you since you're so great at making predictions. Are you talking about the cycle of reincarnation or something? I don't know much about religion. You are literally a priestess. I just want to tell you that if you know about something, that's something that happened to you. I want you to try and remember what happened. I don't want you to treat it like you're just mistaken. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I guess. I was a little surprised by how serious she sounded. I always thought that Rika was just an innocent girl who fooled around all the time, saying things like meep and Nipah. But all of a sudden she seemed like a totally different girl. Was I supposed to take it as a joke? The serious look on her face told me that it wasn't the time for jokes, though. If that's what you're telling me, then I guess I got ohagi from Mion in a previous life? I won't make fun of you, so please tell me everything. Why did me give you that ohagi? The more I think about it, the more I think it's just my imagination. Maybe it was just a dream. I don't care if it was a dream. You must remember something. Please tell me. What was up with her? She seemed so curious about it. I didn't think this story was that interesting. Her asking so much started making me feel uncomfortable. Still, something told me that I needed to talk to Rika-chan about everything I could. Maybe she could predict my future by reading my dreams. I should tell her everything. After all, she's the shrine maiden for Oyoshira-sama. Well, I think I skipped school that day. I had a cold or something. My memory was scattered all over my brain like powder. I could see myself standing in the front of the door. Mian was there, and someone else was standing there too. I think it was Rena. Mian brought me ohagi so I would get better. I think she told me that her grandma made it, just like today. And then? Well, then I ate that ohagi after they went back home. Then I found something inside the ohagi. Ha 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 ha. I'm sure I saw it in a comic book or something. It's mixed up in my memory, but I'm sure I read it somewhere in some comic book. Because it can't be true. Ha ha ha. Keiichi, tell me what happened. What did you find inside the ohagi? Well, I read this scary comic book when I was little, and there was a sewing needle inside of somebody's burger. Haha, you remember what Shion was saying just now? It can be traumatic to hear a story like that when you're young. I didn't remember much about that comic. I think it was about this girl who had an accident and held a grudge against the person who caused the injury on her face. Is that Junji Ito? It was a really cheap plot, now that I think about it, but since I was still a little kid, that comic really scared me. In one chapter, the girl casts a curse on the guy's food. He eats a burger with a sewing needle inside it, and he goes all, "Kia!" something like that. It still freaked me out. The image was so grotesque and shocking to me. That grew into a kind of trauma, and for a while I searched for sewing needles in my food, every time I ate something. I couldn't eat burgers for a while for that reason, but my parents got concerned and my hunger overcame the trauma. Eventually, that experience disappeared into the flow of time. I'm still a little worried about sewing needles every once in a while. I don't think about it all the time, of course. It'd be pretty rude if I poked at my food while eating lunch with you guys, wouldn't it? Of course, I know that no one would actually put a sewing needle inside of my food. But you're still a little scared. Well, maybe I am somewhere inside my heart. So, you saw a sewing needle inside the ohagi that me gave you. You saw a sewing needle inside of one. Yeah, I did. Inside that ohagi there was a needle, just as I feared. Why was I telling her about something that was just my imagination? Mian and Rena came to see me when I took a day off from school while I was sick. But that never happened, so obviously my brain was just making it up. But I spoke to Rika-chan because she said she wouldn't make fun of me. Are you afraid of this ohagi now? Do you feel like there might be a needle inside? Is that why you're not eating it? I know if this might sound a little odd to all of you, but anytime I cover up with a blanket, I'll lift it up and move it around, make sure there's no bugs inside. I'll put my hand, anytime I put on shoes, I'll tip it upside down, pat it on the sole, and then stick my hand inside to make sure there's nothing inside the shoes. If there's like little garden tomatoes inside a salad, I'll cut it open rather than like eat it whole, so I can make sure there's nothing inside that shouldn't be. I tend to look inside food, but then again I guess I do a few things that perhaps could be considered slightly paranoid. For example, I live alone. My bedroom's on the second floor, since technically my apartment has 2 stories to it. The downstairs is a living room and a kitchen, and the upstairs is my bedroom and my son's room, and my shower, bathroom stuff. And of course I got a washing machine and a dryer in the upstairs hallway right next to the bathroom. But Whenever I'm in my room, regardless if it's day or night, my front door and back door downstairs are locked. I have alarms. My bedroom door is locked. I also have metal dumbbells stacked in front of my door, and sometimes I'll put a folding chair in front of the doors too. Anytime I go out my front door, I'll always check the peephole before I open the door, regardless if it's day or night. So, of course, every day I get up and go to work, I'll look at that peephole before I go outside. Every time I'm in a restaurant, when I enter, leave, or just tend to be sitting there, I'll usually sit in a place so I can see the entrance and exit at all times. And usually I'll be very subtle about it, but whenever I go into a building, I try my best to see the face of every single person in the building, just so I know that there's nobody there that would want to hurt me. I'm very good at hiding certain reactions, but I do flinch anytime somebody raises a hand around me. And I do feel like everyone around me wants to hurt me, hates me, and finds me disgusting. Then again, well, those air quotes paranoid thoughts have always proven true. A lot of times, even though I'll be in my bedroom with everything locked, and there should be no way for anyone to get in, I'll sometimes wake up in the middle and just sort of turn a light on my phone or something and just make sure there's nothing in my bedroom. I'll sometimes go through at my house and just double check all the closets and even the place where the hot water tank is to make sure no one's hiding inside the house. Every time I'm in the shower and dry my face, I'll make sure to check the rest of the bathroom, make sure no one came in or changed anything while I was my eyes closed to the water. If I look at my reflection in the mirror, I sometimes worry that the reflection will do something it's not supposed to. And a lot of times if I'm upstairs in the bathroom, I'll be glancing down at my staircase repeatedly to make sure there's nothing coming up my staircase at that time. I mean, I have reasons for feeling that way about things, but those are things I've discussed long ago in community posts. And of course, many things I never discussed. That's just part of getting older. Learning to be alone all the time, and learning that everyone hates you and wants to hurt you. It's just common sense. It's just part of growing up. Dropping that naivete and learning to accept reality. Are you afraid of this ohagi now? Do you feel like there might be a needle inside? Is that why you're not eating it? I realized that Mian and Ren were also looking at me. They were wondering why I was staring at the ohagi without eating it. Oh, you don't like ohagi, Kei-chan? If you don't have to eat it. Mian was assuming that I didn't like ohagi. She felt bad for forcing me to eat something I didn't like. In turn, I felt guilty seeing the sad expression on her face. Sis, he must be convinced that you put something in it. I immediately denied Xian's remark. No one else would understand what I'm saying. Even I didn't know. No, I know for sure there's no sewing needle inside this ohagi. I feel like they're missing context. A sewing needle? Why would this old man put something like that in there? Of course you wouldn't. You're not the type to visit and bring something with you out of pure generosity. You might play a trick with Tabasco sauce or something, but you'd never put needles inside. You'd never do something as dangerous as that. I know you would never do such a thing. I grabbed the ohagi with my hand, and as I brought it in front of my mouth, I felt the need to check it, just in case. But I told myself clearly, "Hey, you wimp. When are you going to stop being scared of that stupid comic book? Mian brought these ohagi to treat everyone in the class. There's no way she'd put needles inside of these." I forced that stupid memory out of my brain and munched on the ohagi. It's delicious. Of course it is. There wasn't a needle inside, was there? No way. I'm really sorry. I was just caught up in a traumatic experience I once had. My heart stopped pounding and I felt relieved. The next moment I got the urge to say something to Mian. It wasn't the right thing to say, but I just felt like I had to say it. "Hey, Mian?" "Huh? What is it?" "The ohagi was delicious." "Huh?" I'm glad I brought them then, even though they were really heavy. I didn't know why I wanted to tell her again that the ohagi was delicious. But I was glad I said that to her. I was finally released from that odd feeling. Well then, since Kei-chan overcame his fears and ate that ohagi, you should eat this squash, Satoko-chan. It's so soft and sweet. How can that lunchbox always be so full of squash? You're going to give me a traumatic experience. Ha ha ha, Shi-chan is trying so hard to stop Satoko-chan from hating squash. She's so passionate about it. Maybe she sees her as her future little sister. Ha ha ha. By the time I finished eating my ohagi, we would return to our usual fun lunchtime. Keiichi? What if? What if what? What if you really do see a needle inside your food? What would you do? That's not going to happen. Don't you threaten me, Rika-chan. Keiichi, what if it really happens? Rika-chan looked at me with a serious face as I joked around. What's gotten into her lately? Stop it. It's not going to happen, and I don't believe it will. I had just overcome my stupid trauma after all that. That's why I made that firm statement. I understand. Keiichi, I'm sorry I'm asking you so much. If you see a needle inside your food, it's definitely some kind of mistake. Please don't ever believe that it's me's fault. You're just trying to tell me not to be suspicious of Mion, right? Of course I won't. I would never be suspicious of my friends. I raised my fist in the air. Rika-chan finally looked happy. She smiled as if she was relieved by my words. It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly time. The items donated for the auction were gathered at the Furude Shrine. There's so much stuff here. I expected to see towels and old furniture, but there are way more things than that. I even see TVs and refrigerators. These are pretty new, too. Aha, impressed, huh? We got donations from the stores my family owns. Some of them were display products or leftovers that they can't sell, but they're still practically brand new. If you don't mind something a model behind. They're incredible, right? Seeing how sun-bleached the brand new sticker on these appliances are makes me feel kinda sorry for them. No, Satoko, that's actually a big selling point. Even if it's a little faded, people will feel better using a brand new tools than they do items someone else used. Meep, youngsters these days sure are picky. Haha, I don't really care whether it's new or not. All I care about is the price. Rena-san, you seem interested in furniture. Are you thinking about living on your own or something? Oh no, my dad and I were just talking about redecorating the house. Brand new furniture is expensive, so I've been checking out these recycled ones. You're changing the furniture? That's quite a big deal. Yep, my dad finally found a job recently. So we kinda want to make a fresh start out of it. Your father found a new job? Rika-chan asked her. I was thinking the same thing. Did that mean Rena's father was unemployed until recently? Yeah. He didn't work for a whole year after he broke up with my mom. I was so upset I was always telling him to go get a job already. Rena explained that with her usual smile, so it took a moment to realize how serious it was. If what she said was true, her parents were divorced, and she wasn't living in a very good family environment. Rena talked about it like it was nothing. Your mother and father broke up? Yep. They got divorced in Ibaraki. That's why my mom, my dad, and I came back to Hinamizawa. My dad couldn't get over the divorce for a long time, though. He was always just sleeping or daydreaming. Divorces and breakups always wound deeper, the more they loved their partner. It's not really a bad thing that your father was hurt so much. Haha, that's a romantic way to put it. Anyway, I eventually found out that he was spending a lot of money at the bar. I was shocked when I looked at our bank account. Rena's mom is a famous designer. Their family used to make lots of money. So her father got lots of settlement money upon the divorce. That's why he was able to pay for their living expenses for a while. Perhaps that was why it took him so long to get back on track. That's true. If he had no money, he would have had no choice but to work. He would have had no time to be depressed if he kept himself busy. That is not true. You can work all the time and still be depressed. It's tough, leaving an ordinary pattern of life. It can really mess up people's cycles. I understand because I was that way for a while after I left the academy. Staying at home like a hermit is the worst thing you can do. You're exactly right, Rika-chan. Yeah, but only bad things exist out there. That's why I had to talk to him. We talked about his responsibilities as head of the household and as a parent. You always look like you're fooling around, but you're actually the most reliable person in this group. I'm impressed that you even spoke to your father like that. Huh? It wasn't a big deal. I was shocked at first. I found out that my dad was spending his money on some lady. As his daughter, it really hurt to find that out. And then, what did you do? Did you douse an elementary school in gasoline? Well, it was no good to think about it on my own. I just kept thinking in a negative way. I mean, it's not like you were going to go out to your secret hideout in the middle of the garbage dump and then she was going to come and try to kill you, and then you were going to kill her, and then Tepe was going to come with the plan to basically murder your father, and then you kill him as well, and then you dismember the corpses, and then we all your friends decide to surprise you at the dump because you're always looking for Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and, well, we found the corpses. So I spoke to Mi-chan about it. All I did was listen to her. Rena was the one who faced her problems and came to the conclusion of talking with her dad about them. I didn't give her any advice. But that was the important thing. Talking to people about your problems can calm you down a lot. Does talking to yourself count? Is that so? If she overcame it just by talking to Sis, maybe her problem wasn't that serious. That's not true, Chi-chan. Exactly, nothing was solved by talking about your problems. Just violent murder. I feel like there's a moral lesson there somewhere. Before I spoke to Mi-chan, all I thought about was how to hurt that lady. But I realized that wasn't a good solution at all. Talking it out with him was the important thing, as opposed to murder. So, what happened after you spoke with him? Well, we concluded that he wasn't moving on because of the money, so he transferred the funds to a different account and I took charge of them. Now my dad is to get an allowance from me every month. Oh ho ho, it's as though you're the parent now. Everyone else laughed along with Satoko. I wasn't sure if I should laugh, but I saw Rena laughing too. Anyway, the money was keeping her father from moving on. As soon as he remembered the value of money, he stopped going to that shady bar and got a job. It really was perfect timing. He was getting ready to pay the down payment for this lady's apartment. That would have been a mess. You talk about it like it's nothing, but it's a pretty serious story. Your family could have been ruined. That's true. If I didn't talk to Mi-chan and kept on thinking about it on my own, I don't know where I would have been by now. I think I probably would have tried to kill that lady. Ha ha ha, that would have never happened. Everyone laughed at hearing such a dangerous thing come out of Rena's mouth, except Rika-chan. Rena laughed too, but I saw something serious in her eyes. It was probably true that she once thought about murdering that lady. She seduced Rena's father so that she couldn't get money out of him. Knowing how short-tempered I am, I might do the same thing if that happened to me. I think she made the right decision in talking to me instead of being irrational. I'm impressed. It's not that easy to talk about your family issues. Aha, I know. It took me a while to make the decision to talk to Mi-chan, but that one dream changed everything. A dream. Yep. Every night in bed I'd think about my problems, so I was troubled even in my dreams. In my dream, I thought about what would happen to me if I didn't do anything. I don't know if what I saw was my imagination or prediction of the future. In my dream, I saw the lady living with us in our home. My dad and I don't smoke, but there was an ashtray in the living room. The futon in our guest room was now hers. In the bathroom, there was a toothbrush and shampoo I'd never choose to buy. It was an unusual sight. That must have been very difficult and disgusting situation. Satoko never told me, but I heard that she also lost her parents. I had heard that she went through all the tough times when she was taken in by her aunt and uncle. Someone told me about that once. Satoko seemed to understand Rena's pain very well. Yes, it was a really disheartening situation. Eventually, I felt like I didn't belong there anymore. Then something urged me to kill her. To be fair, that was technically in self-defense, Rena. That sounds so realistic for a dream. I've had lots and lots of dreams. What happened after that? I realized I was a murderer. I didn't want anybody to find out about it, and I stopped trusting anyone. I spent all day at the place I buried her. I was afraid that if I left that place, someone would find out that I killed her. That's a nightmare. I'm glad it was just a dream for you. I don't know. I wonder if it was just a dream. I think I saw my future that would have happened if I didn't do anything about the situation. I woke up the next morning shaking in fear. I even felt like I smelled her perfume at home. I wondered when the dream was going to come true. I was so afraid, and that pushed me to talk to Mi-chan. I remember Rena coming up to me and telling me that she had a secret to tell me. I honestly thought she'd gotten a positive on a pregnancy test for a moment. Did pregnancy tests even exist in the 80s? I can talk about it like this now, but it was very serious then. Mi-chan is a really dependable person. She listened to me and guided me through a solution. Eventually we decided that I needed to talk with him face to face. Perhaps it wasn't just a dream. You're right. I think it was more than that. Without that dream, it's impossible that you never would have spoken to me on. That could have changed your life dramatically. A dream, huh? Are we all sharing our, events of the other stories? Because Shion, you had a very, very interesting thing happen to you back in Chapter 2. A very electrifying good time, if I might say. Huh? You've had dreams too, Shion. I will say this. The Bible makes dreams sound like they were such fucking rare things back then. And even then, the dreams that are described is like, and there's 7 ears of corn and 7 cows. And there's a statue. Whereas, I've literally had dreams where everyone on the planet was in giant blenders. And we all could just travel around, and you had little maps, you could talk to people, and you could travel around like that. And it was basically like the internet. Except at any point you might randomly get blended and diced up with metal. And of course, that was true of yourself or anyone else. Though if it ever happened, then 3 days later you would come back to life on another random place on the planet. And it'd be a planet the size of Jupiter. And it'd be every human being that's ever existed in all of history. And you could have a little friend request thing where every person you met in person, you decide who you want to be able to see again, or heck, keeps track of anyone you ever met. But every time you die, your blender stays there for 3 days. So that means also if you're ever talking to anybody, there's always a chance that you or the people you're talking to will just get violently shredded to death right in front of you, screaming in horrible pain. And then that's just going to stay there with a red pool of your blood in front of them. But then after 3 days, it'll disappear and reappear somewhere else on the planet. You'll be fully healed. You'll have a map, and it shows you, where everybody else is. And so you can pilot your blender across the giant Jupiter-size like planet, like it's a tank. And it moves fairly slowly. And you can see where everyone else is on the map that you've met before. And you can search people up like that. But you have to be within 1 mile of them to even talk to them, let alone see them in person. So you never know. Like, okay, where you are on the planet, if you'll even make it to them in time before either you randomly get teleported somewhere else, or if they'll be, emulsified before you get to them. Heck, if you get there in the last 3 days of emulsifation before they get teleported, you'll just find a blender full of red tomato juice. And be like, that's my best friend. Well, another 20 hours, they'll teleport to another part of the planet randomly, and, well, maybe if I drive my tank there fast enough and And it's always that situation of a life of constant anxiety. And worst of all, no one is ever able to give anyone a hug or any physical contact in any way. Everyone's in a complete, total sense of isolation and fear at all times. I've also had dreams where I fired Kamehamehas. That second one was a better dream. The first one, not a good dream. Not a good dream at all. Then I remember making a community post where I was talking about a dream where there was a house full of these things called tobacco moths, which I didn't even know were things. But I found some sort of word that was similar to it in the dream and then looked it up. That's another weird thing. I remember at one point in the past in dreams you couldn't do things like mess with light switches or use electronics or read books or mirrors. But nowadays all that stuff doesn't work like that anymore. Oh well. That's probably true for everybody. Shion said something in a small voice. Only Mion picked up on what it was. I don't know what she said, but based on Mion's reaction, she must have said something serious. By the way, Shion usually went to school in Okinomiya. However, she'd been coming to school in Hinamizawa lately. I didn't know why she chose to come this far, but she seemed to be having fun taking care of Satoko. I had no idea what brought Shion and Satoko together. Was it the dream where you crucified Satoko and stabbed her to death, where Mion was sitting in a cage behind her screaming for you to stop stabbing Satoko to death? Grantedly, this was after, you and Rika had a battle to the death in the kitchen over some soy sauce. I mean, it must be some really good soy sauce. What do you guys eat soy sauce with? I just use it with egg rolls. Wait, were they on bad terms once? Huh? Is that true? Were they always that close or not? Now I know. It's important to talk to other people. We'll have fun in a normal way, we'll laugh together in a normal way, and we'll fall in love in a normal way. We won't doubt each other. We'll trust each other. Friends have greater meaning than I thought. You can talk to them about anything. I finally came to realize that. You're right. You resolved not only your family issue, but you also realized the importance of friendship. It's like, I'm going to beat all of you with the power of friendship and this gun I found. Yeah, if anyone is troubled by something, I want to help. I really do. I want everyone to think that they can talk to me about their problems. Meep. Rena is saying something very important right now. Rika-chan is right. We all nodded at her without joking around. A moment later we heard someone locking the door. We were all surprised. That person didn't mean to lock the door. She must have locked it by accident, not knowing that it was already open. She turned the knob, thinking that it was now unlocked. Huh? Is anybody inside? The lady knocked on the door. I could hear several other people outside the door. Oh, sorry. Let me open it. Mion replied in a loud voice and walked toward the door. I heard her greeting the ladies from the town council. Hey, will you guys lend a hand? What is it? I immediately saw why Mion called us over. The people from the village committee had brought another donation. It was an old cupboard. Huh. I wonder if Satoshi ever saw a cupboard before. We all helped to carry it inside the room. As I walked through the door, I realized the higurashi were starting to cry, taking over from the cicadas. I heard you're going to host the auction, Mabura-kun. Everyone thinks you're the best man for that job. You know what? You guys remember the woman museum director, painter, art curator from Mega Man Legends 1? She was really hot. I thought she was very attractive, albeit for a very, PlayStation 1 polygonal individual. Then again, the same statement is true of Quistis from Final Fantasy VIII. Welcome to Lunar Discusses anime characters and video game characters he goons to. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Speaking of Bulma. Bulma. We're all looking forward to seeing your showmanship. Oh, ha ha ha. Didn't Rika say a similar thing in the start of Higurashi when I showed up that game with a golf club? I'll do my best, but please don't expect too much from me. Sure you say. You're here today, so you can come up with an idea of how to sell these items. They have every reason to expect great things from you. I'll make sure I'm at my best then. The other ladies smiled and told me they were looking forward to it. The game has crashed. The crash report folder named next to game executable. It would be great if you'd send it to the developer of the game. Fuck. Well, at least OBS didn't crash. Whatever will I do? Well, this is an opportunity. I don't know if it'll still register that I played those parts yet or not, but hey. Let's figure that out. But right now, let's show you guys the other art style for the characters. We'll switch back to the updated one in the next video. But oh, it doesn't let me do the skip. Well, rapid pushing. Nope, okay. I'm just rapidly tapping the advance button over and over and over as fast as I can. Just to be on the safe side. Menu. Save. Save. Close. I'm gonna break this button on my keyboard. Again, I like the music. I don't know if you guys can hear all this tapping. I don't think it's possible to tap it any faster. So much tapping. It's like, welcome to Higurashi, the game where there's a lolly on screen and Lunar just keeps tapping it. Just tapping the button over and over again. I stopped tapping because it's loading. I'm gonna lean forward, stretch a bit, take a drink of water, because I know it took a moment for this to do last time. That's good water. What if I made a thumbnail and it's just as close up of Shion's tits? Like the entire screen. Save. Save here. Close. Menu. Main menu. Yes. I'm still expecting, like, Cell to be back here from Dragon Ball Z. Or Ramada Amamura. Okay, we're almost there. Let's make sure we... Okay, I think we're at the right spot. It hadn't been that long since I moved to this village, but even these people offered me a position of huge responsibility during the festival, so you could say that they have accepted me as a member of this village. I caused so much trouble where I lived before that I couldn't even go outside, but they're accepting me as a member of the village. I was so happy. I felt bad that I still hadn't learned all of their names, but I was going to do my best to entertain the villagers who were supporting me. What are you going to do now, Mion-chan? Are you staying here? No, we're going home now. Right, Kei-chan? Yep. I got a good idea of what we have here. I should be fine now. I'm not interested in Watanagashi, but I do still want to see his auction. Maybe I'll come over to the festival too. You absolutely must be there, Shion-san. It'll be great fun if we all hang out together. That dream of you stabbing Satoko a bunch probably wasn't the best feeling. Or, electrocuting your grandma to death. Or pushing your sister down a well and snapping her neck. Granted, that was after locking her in a cage and yelling at her a lot. And a couple electrocutions. And, oh yeah, you hung the mayor. Slowly, I might add. Also, you stabbed Keiichi with a knife in the stomach. And then, technically, Mio Takano dies in every version of the story. I disagree. She lives in Okonomiya, so she should go to the festival there. I think Chi-chan should come. I think Mi-chan will prove entertaining if she does. Since most of us want her to be here, it's decided that she is going to come. Hear that, sis? You'll be in my shadow on the day of the festival, but let's at least be nice to each other. Ugh. I hate you, Xian. I hate you, Xian. I hate you, Xian. Whatever Mian says, I know that they're actually close. The more Mian tried to refuse her, the more it was obvious how close they really were. Right, let's go. Make sure you get everything. I'm turning off the lights now. We made sure that we didn't leave anything inside and left that room. I looked around the shrine grounds while Mian locked the door. This place will be filled with people on the day of the Watanagashi. These grounds are going to be the site of the festival. Man, I can't even imagine the crowd. I'm really looking forward to it. There's going to be a lot of stalls, and it'll be packed with people. You'll be surprised, I think. I wish they'd quit being stingy and hold something every season instead of once a year. That reminds me, there is someone who visits every season. Huh? Who are you talking about? Oh, I know who you mean. It's that photographer I met the other day, isn't it? What was his name? You know, Tomataki Keiichi. You know Tomataki Keiichi. You know Tomataki Keiichi? That's right, it was Tomataki-san. I met him on my way back home. Retta and Mian told me about him. Despite his burly frame, he's a fairly modest guy. He comes here every year to take pictures, right? That is what he claims, at least. Oh ho ho. Whenever I see him, I feel like Watanagashi is close by, and after Watanagashi is the beginning of summer. That's true, but the cicadas are already crying because it's gotten hot early this year. I heard on TV that this year is unusual. It's something to do with a thing called global warming. I love a hot summer. Are you guys familiar with Milankovitch cycles? Or global farming from 12,000 years ago? I love a hot summer, or even geothermal patterns of volcanoes. It's not a proper summer if it's cool. Yeah, I agree. I like the different climates of the seasons. Cool summers and warm winters disappoint me. We've got to be as passionate as the hot summer, too. How many of us are going to be there at the festival? It's going to be a battle of the 6 evils. Once again, we'll have a great Watanagashi this year. I agree. I hope we'll have lots of fun. Hey, Retta, don't you know? If Rika-chan says something like that, it's not just what she hopes for. It's a prediction. If Rika-chan is telling us it's going to be great, it really is going to be great. That's our fate, right, Rika-chan? Yes, that's our fate. Rika-chan smiled with a Nipah. Her smile assured me that the day of the Watanagashi was going to be a great one for us. The auction won't be starting right away, will it? Nah. It's going to be right before the ritual dance, so we'll have plenty of time to hang out together. Indeed. It's your first festival. You deserve to have fun. After Kei-chan's auction, we get to see Rika-chan's ritual dance. Sounds good to me. That means I don't get to see Keiichi the whole time. I have to stand by for the dance. You're going to be in the show too, Rika-chan. What is this dance all about? Are you going to do something traditional because you're the shrine maiden? There's a dance and a ceremony for paying respect to the cotton inside the futon. You should root for Rika-chan too, Keiichi-kun. You see? When Rika-chan dances in her shrine maiden outfit, it's just so cute. What was that wet sloshing sound? I'm taking her home with me. I've never seen a real shrine maiden before. I'm sure Rika-chan really will look adorable. I was looking more and more forward to the Watanagashi festival. Retta, Mian, Xian, Satoko, Rika-chan, and I. The 6 of us will definitely have a great time there. How many more days did we have? I'd never been this excited about a festival in my life. Satoko's snoring sounded so subtle while I stood by the window. Satoko? I could tell that she was sound asleep. She snores so cutely. Hanyu laughs and tries to poke Satoko's nose. I looked up at the sky. Nothing was different about the moon, but the moonlight seemed warmer than usual to me. Rika, you seem to be in a good mood. Yes, I think I am. I realized it only after Hanyu pointed it out. I realized I was in a very good mood, otherwise I wouldn't be enjoying the view of the sky on a humid night like this. I felt like bringing a toast to the moon. As I rooted around the back of the closet, Hanyu spoke to me, sounding noticeably upset. Rika, don't you even think about drinking. I deserve it. Just tonight. Hanyu doesn't like alcohol. If I drink, Hanyu will also taste it. So she always complains when I try to drink. That's why I usually drink only when Hanyu is far away from me. Of course, she'll know right away when I do, but it's too late by then. No, you can't. You're too young to be drinking. It's my body. I'm going to make my own decisions. No, I hate alcohol. You can't drink. I don't want to fight with you tonight. I'll dilute it with orange juice so you can handle the taste. Is that a deal? That's not the point. I hate being drunk. So you can't drink. Hanyu jumped around and complained. She was making a lot of noise right where Satoko was sleeping. Stop that. You're going to wake her up. No, I'm not. Remember, you're the only one who can hear me. Bleh. Ho. Just who do you think you are? I went to the refrigerator and took out a pack of orange juice and the spicy kimchi I typically use for her punishment. Oh, let me ask you a question. Would you prefer I ate this spicy kimchi to punish you, or drink a sweet orange juice cocktail while enjoying this beautiful moon instead? Hanyu clenched her lips while jumping up and down, ready to burst into tears. She should be disciplined for being that noisy, but she never has been, since I'm the only one who can hear her. Besides, she's like air, so I can't even give her a spanking. Hanyu loves sweets, but she really hates spicy food. Rika, would you stop jumping around? Satoko woke up suddenly, and I had to hide my glass in a hurry. Satoko doesn't know about my drinking habit. What time do you think it is? She fell asleep again after speaking. Hanyu? See, she was bothered by you jumping around like that. You nighttime nuisance? Oh. Just like I'm the only one who can see her, I'm usually the only person who can hear the noise she makes. However, that's not the case all the time. Hanyu does exist in this world. Sometimes people can actually hear and feel her existence. It doesn't happen too often, and most people think that they just heard some random noise. Remember, Keiichi saw Hanyu when he was calling from the telephone in Chapter 1. Then I think Hanyu was kind of angry at that because she was using the red eye thing. But then it was after Keiichi did, beat Rena and Mion to death with a baseball bat. It's peanut butter jelly time. Hanyu also was glaring at Rena in her abandoned car before Rika showed up. And when Shion was inside the sacred ritual house, she heard noises like a kid jumping up and down, complaining. Wonder if we ever get to see any of those from Hanyu's perspective. Based on my experience, people who are in a critical condition, like Satoko, tend to hear her more often. When I say critical condition, I mean who have reached the L4 stage, as Erie would describe it. At that stage, there's nothing that can be done anymore. They will feel the existence and hear the noise of someone they can't see. That would really mess with their mind. Hanyu stopped jumping up and down and gave up as I started pouring alcohol in my glass. I wasn't drinking because I wanted to be mean to Hanyu. In fact, I always wished she would enjoy it too. I poured only a little bit of wine inside the glass and diluted it with plenty of orange juice. In fact, this cocktail is pretty much just juice. I also put some crushed ice inside the glass. With that, it looked like a real cocktail they'd serve at the bar. See, Hanyu? It's very diluted. I licked the edge of the glass to see how she'd react. I guess it's not that bad. Good. I'll be drinking this tonight. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore, alright? Hanyu has been scared of that Kimichi punishment for a while. As I put it back inside the refrigerator, she seemed relieved. I took the glass and headed back to the window. There was no breeze, but it seemed a little bit cooler. Hey, Hanyu? Do you feel that something is different this time? Are you talking about Kiichi and Rena? Shion, too. Everyone remembers a little bit about their past. They seem to be using those memories to avoid their fatal mistakes. I don't think it would be that surprising if this was happening individually, but I find it very strange that it's happening to everyone all at once. I know I often use board games as examples of fate, but I feel like this is the same lucky chance as rolling all sixes on 3 dice. I think that's a good way to describe it in the sense that we're starting closest to your desired future. But I don't think this is the miracle that you've been waiting for. I knew what she was trying to say. She was telling me not to expect too much. The die is designed to have 6 sides. It's not a miracle if I roll and get a 6. A true miracle is I roll it once, but get a 10. Just like what happened with Kiichi in my previous life. In other words, a miracle is something that would normally never happen. Kiichi gave the doll to Mion. Rena spoke with her father. And Shion started taking care of Satoko after remembering her promise to Satoshi. That was all because they had those intentions somewhere in their hearts. It was only a side of the die that was engraved there already. But still, even if you couldn't call 3 dice rolling this well a miracle, it did mean good fortune. I'm sure it was God's way of celebrating you finally feeling motivated to change your fate. Hee. I thought you were one of those gods. You only treat me like a god when you're trying to tease me. I was just kidding, don't get upset. Anyway, that's why I'm in such a good mood tonight. I lifted up the glass of orange wine and gave a toast to the moon. It tasted nothing but sweet orange juice. It tasted like nothing but sweet orange juice. It was funny to see Hanyu making a happy face as I took a sip. I wonder if I can escape the death of 1983 this time. If our goal is to escape from this board, then I don't think we'll ever have such a fortunate start again. No matter how hard I tried to prevent things from happening, there were some things I could never control. It's such a huge letdown when that happens. Even after trying so hard, something renders my efforts infertile. I'd probably been wasting my time for so long because I was trying to escape from that pain. For the first time in my life, then, I've been blessed with a favorable situation. Everything seems perfect in this world. There's no reason for me to be depressed. It's like the weather is perfect and the wind is blowing in just the right way. If I failed to put my ship out to sea, there was nothing to pin the blame on. I understood what Hanyu was trying to say with a concerned look on her face. If I didn't escape my death under this fortunate situation, I'd have to accept that my fate wasn't something that could be changed. This is an ideal world, where all of my friends overcame their problems. I was always in a depressing world, but this time, all the pieces of the puzzle matched. If I couldn't change my fate in this world, then it would be proof that I couldn't change it in any world. That was the ending that I've been afraid of for a long time. The loss of hope, and the death of my soul. And the pair of us, I was probably the only one who would die. Hanyu will most likely remain there even if my spirit disappears. She must be afraid of being alone after I lose myself. That's why she's telling me not to expect too much. I bit down on an ice chip inside my mouth. It was pleasantly cold. Hanyu, I know we've been over this many times, but I want you to think about me again. Sure. You want to know why you're being murdered in 1983? Yes. A strong will becomes fate. That means the reason I get murdered this year is because of someone's strong will. I think you're right. Who will benefit from killing Rika Furude? If that person has a strong will, there must be a clear motive for them doing so. It might sound odd coming from me, but I think most people like Rika Furude. I don't think any villagers would have the motive to kill me. The people who live in this village are all fond of you. Thanks to you. Ow, ow, ow. I'm just showing you my appreciation. Anyway, we know that the Sonozaki family is not the culprit. I have no idea who else would want to kill me. You know, this village is supposed to be the safest place in the world for you. You're right. It's supposed to be. There are plenty of people who would protect me here. It's ironic. For a long time I've been refusing help from all those people who were trying to keep me safe. Rika, I think we should rely on Eri. People in this village love and cherish me, but no matter what, they never save me when I try to escape the fate of my death. I spoke to several villagers in the past, but they never believed me, and none of them saved me in the end. They probably didn't believe me because I had no idea who was trying to kill me, or what their motive was. If I could explain that, people might be more accepting of my story. But there is nothing I can do about that. No one would believe a little girl saying that she's going to be killed without rhyme or reason. All they think of me is as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama and the leader of the Furude family. They do cherish me, but they won't protect me with their lives. On the other hand, Eri and his people are totally different. They realize how special I am, and they would try to make sure that nothing happens to me. If I confessed to them that my life was in danger, I'm sure they would do their best to prevent it. They have all the means to protect me from a violent end. However, none of it really worked in the past. It's not that they're unreliable. It's because Takano, the one responsible for protecting me, also gets killed on the same day every time. In other words, asking for her for help is completely useless. She's very reliable, but she also isn't. It's ironic that I'm the only one who knows the reason why they can never save me. Dr. Eri does commit suicide in every timeline. I mean, maybe we could start that off like, Dr. Eri, I've been having some dreams. And one, I'm worried somebody's going to hurt me, and I think you're the best person to protect me. But I also think that there's a big reason you can't protect me. He's like, why? Because I keep having dreams that you're going to, kill yourself with sleeping pills. I wonder if that's the murderer's plan. Tomotaki and Takano get killed because they're my guardians. Then I get killed after that. I think Takano's death is definitely related to your own. If it's the same fate, if the same suspect is killing them for the same motive, I might be able to alter my own outcome by preventing their deaths. I don't know if you remember, but we've tried that once before. The deaths of Takano and Tomotaki mean the loss of my protection. Because the two of them die, the suspect is able to kill me. That's why I've tried to prevent their deaths somehow. But they never believed me. I tried so hard to persuade them, but they didn't listen. I eventually gave up and just thought of their deaths as fated to happen. It's the same hopeless feeling I used to have toward my parents when I was able to go back further in time. When I found out the death was inevitable, I lost interest in them. After all the time that passed, I forgot how hard I used to try to prevent my parents' deaths. Besides, I thought you hated Eri and his people. Yeah, they look at us like nothing but their guinea pigs. I support them so I can help Satoko, but it disgusts me to think they're only using me as a test subject. I've been resenting Eri for that reason. Still, I should try to get closer to him. After all, he's the only person who understands how important I am. He's the main person I should be talking to, and he has the most potential for protecting me. I can't avoid seeking help from him just because I don't like him. I've asked him for help several times before, but Tomotaki and Takano get murdered even so, and it ruins everything. After their deaths, Eri panics and becomes useless. That's why I gave up on seeking help from him. But in this world, I've been blessed with a positive situation. I will never have as lucky a start as this again. This is the best chance I'll ever get, so I should give it my best shot. I really don't like him at all. But he's not a bad person. I should respect him more. He's serious about helping Satoko, and he's not as much of a mad scientist as I'm inclined to think. Takano is a strange person too, but she's also someone who can give me support. But she thinks I'm only her guinea pig. That's why I don't really want her help. Tomataki is more reliable than Takano, but the biggest problem is that he only visits this village a few times a year. Also, he is banging Takano. Him and Takano are boyfriend and girlfriend. On top of that, he always dies before I get killed, so he can never help me. However, they really are the people I should be talking to. If I can change the fate of their deaths, they should be able to save me from my own life. It's possible. Save me from my own. It's possible that the only reason I lived into 1982 was because of their effort. I'm going to approach them once more and do what I can to try and save them. Oh, don't worry. I expect they'll be murdered anyways, so I'm not getting my hopes up. So I'll be fine, even if this hope's betrayed. Ow, you're such a cruel girl. I chuckled at her comment. If they can escape their fated deaths, then I'm sure they'll greatly influence my own destiny as well. And this time I'm going to try talking to them with the assumption they'll still be killed. It's almost as if we're going to have some critical revelation at the very end of this Chapter 7 game that will be important for Chapter 8. Something that we could have never foreseen. And in short, I'll talk to them about how I'll be protected from my coming danger after they die. If they issue such orders, then maybe the guard around me will be strengthened after they do. The protection they provide is probably the highest standard of security I could hope for. Yet I lose that the moment Tomataki and Takano die, so I never have their protection after Watanagashi, and therefore I get killed too. In other words, that's it. Whoever possesses the strong will to kill me actually just wants me dead. Yet so long as those two are alive, there's tight security all around Hinamizawa. That prevents the killer from getting to me. So, to kill me, they must first kill Tomataki and Takano, the heart of that security. Then my protection falls away, leaving me exposed. The more I reason out, the more I realize their fates are connected to mine. Thinking from that point of view, my destiny becomes inescapable the moment I abandon them to die. You should know what you have to do first, then. Talk to Dr. Yuri? Yes. I have to think about saving their lives before thinking about mine. It's kind of ironic. I gave up on them because I was more determined to save my own life, but I finally came to the conclusion that I have to help them first, before helping myself. But there's something I still don't understand. Someone with convictions this strong is trying to kill me for some equally strong motive, yet no matter how often I debate it, I can't think of anyone who'd benefit from my death. Not only that, but there should only be people who'd want to protect me, especially since they'd do anything to protect me and the present environment. They even eliminated my mother. To be perfectly honest, I don't even care about her anymore. I never got along with her, and she's the one who took my father's death the wrong way, making a huge deal out of it like she did. She got what she deserved. I'm a valuable guinea pig for them, and I can be a bomb, too. No one benefits from making me explode. There's only disaster awaiting them if that happens. Lots of people will be lost, and nobody would gain anything from that. According to Takano, my death would be like the eruption of a volcano in the middle of the village. I'm not interested in what happens after my death, but they're really concerned about it. They're watching me every day to ensure I don't accidentally hit my head on the corner of a block of tofu and die. I remember that anime. It's fair to say that they are here in order to prevent the eruption from happening. I'd be suspicious of them if they were going to benefit in some way from my death, but as everyone knows, that can't possibly be the case. My death would create nothing but disaster. They're benefiting from me being alive right now. Perhaps it's not about gain, but about a grudge. Maybe someone has a strong grudge against my family and kills me, not knowing that I'm like a bomb to this village. That's why I was suspicious of the three families, especially the Sonozaki family. However, after observing them in numerous worlds, I feel that's not the case. I felt that way in several lives, but it's always had something to do with that incident with Keiichi and the doll. It's clear that there is nothing going on between the Sonozaki family and mine. In that case, it must be some religious fanatic? If it's not about profit or grudge, it might be someone who's secretly a deranged cultist. We've already had a series of murders for 4 years in a row under the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Timing-wise, it would be somewhat interesting if I, the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, were killed on the 5th year. I couldn't stand to be murdered for such a whimsical reason, but such a motive actually seemed fitting. Ironically, I would have to suspect Takano, if that's the case. She's well known for being an eccentric researcher of local histories. She's only interested in the village's history because she already knows who I am. She's doing the research based on the notion that I'm important. So she should have no reason to kill me. She would desire to keep me close to her as a research sample. It's hard to believe that she would kill her favorite toy. She might be willing to kill someone. Who would try to harm her little toy, though? I will never find out no matter how hard I think. I just know that someone is definitely going to kill me. I don't care about anything else as long as I can escape that fate. Hint for everyone out there. The same person who kills Rika is also the same person who killed the damn construction worker in year 1 of the murders, who was also the close friend of the detective Oishi. No, I take that back. I want to escape my deadly fate, but I also want all of my friends to be happy, and I want the rest of my life to be happy too, and not be hit while riding a bicycle and run over by a truck. I don't want to hide myself in the forest forever, just to get away from my murderer. In fact, I've tried that once before, but I still met with the same ending. Living in the forest was a horrible experience. I think I was able to survive until July that time. That might be the longest I ever lived. I smiled bitterly and finished off the rest of the orange wine in the glass. I'd have to talk to Eri again. I don't like him, but his people are my only hope. You're my only hope, Eri-wan Kenobi. It's getting late. I should go to sleep now. I think so too. Is sleep important, guys? Good night. I lay down and closed my eyes, but I couldn't fall asleep right away. I sleep much better than I did in the past. I make sure to at least get 5 hours of sleep a day. There was a time when I went several years getting maybe 3, maybe even just 1 hour of sleep. Heck, there were some days I slept for like 5 minutes. That was pretty awful. I probably shouldn't live on that much Red Bull. Suddenly I remembered Rena's words out of nowhere. It was no good when I was thinking about it on my own. I wasn't thinking about it on my own. I was talking it out with Hanyu. Now I know. It's important to talk to other people. Friends have greater meaning than I thought. You can talk to them about anything. I finally realized that again. After I asked Takano for help, should I also talk to Kiichi? I've told him before in my previous lives, but he never believed me then. Whodunit? The weight of these lifetimes is truly immense. The two of us. Rika Furude always thought that there were 4 members in her family. She could clearly see all of us, her father, her mother, and me. She had no idea that I was invisible to anyone else but her. My appearance is a little different from human beings. I may otherwise look like a person, but I can't hide my horns. So it's obvious that I'm not human. I'd hoped that because Rika has seen me since she was a baby, she wouldn't be bothered by my ugly horns at all. I actually think they're cute. Hanyu, I think your horns are cute. And that hope came true. Just as chicks believe whatever they see first is their parent, Rika accepted me as part of her family as a matter of course, even though I have these horns. Rika and I have been close ever since the day she accepted me as her family member. I became closer to her than her parents. I couldn't even remember last time I was able to communicate with someone. We spent all day together. But her family, especially her mother, denied my existence. Since her mother so strongly denied me, Rika and her mother became distant. Rika didn't learn certain things that many children learn from their mothers. That's why I taught her instead. It's kind of ironic how that made her mother resent Rika even more. Rika used to fight with her mother a lot in how she talked. I guess she picked up some bad habits from me. Besides the fact that she didn't get along with her mother, Rika was a pretty normal girl. She was just like Satoko. She loved running around the woods and doing mischievous things. However, in June 1983, Rika's life was taken. All we want is a happy life for Rika. My power only allows us to search for the path leading to that. It's awful to repeat the same tragedy over and over again. Although it's devastating, we can still find happiness within this endless world. Rika Furude's destiny is a tragic dead end, but I'm secretly enjoying the fact that I get to spend more time with her than what normal people can enjoy. It's not just Rika. They may not see or hear me, but being with Satoko, Mion, Rena, and Keiichi is also very fun. I can never be one of them, but I can still be by their side. Also, it makes sense that like in all the other futures where after, Rika's dead, Hanyu tends to haunt the survivors. Not out of malice, necessarily. Though sometimes the one she's haunting is, the one responsible for murdering everyone, including Rika. At which point, Hanyu's understandably a little bit upset, especially since she can feel everything Rika feels, including her death. Hello, I'm surprised to see you here on a day other than Sunday. I have something I want to ask Takano. We should talk to Dr. Eri first. Is she here today? No. She must be on a date with Risa-san. Takano is cheating on her boyfriend Tomataki with the guy that was banging Rena's dad as a Yakuza blackmail activity with Teppei, her other boyfriend. What? I wish I had a date too. Why do you call him Risa? Are we referring to Tomataki? I don't understand. You should ask him yourself. It was a small mistake I made when we first met. It was funny how he reacted. I don't get it. That's what nicknames are all about. What did you want to talk to her about? I'll see her at the meeting tonight, so I'll take a message if you want. Thank you very much, but I'd rather talk to her directly. I see. All right, I should get back to my work now then. No? Are you not seeing any patients today? I've been busy with paperwork for the meeting tonight. I've been preparing for a while, but I didn't have enough time. I'll get in trouble if it's not finished in time. Aren't you busy coaching the baseball team too? You have so much energy. Ha ha ha, I'm such a busy guy. I've been looking for a cute maid who will take care of the chores and help me with other work, but I've had no such luck. He laughed and looked at his watch. He seemed to be in a hurry. Do you have any idea where Takano is right now? They're probably going around to different places in the village. I know they always meet at the shrine. She left not too long ago, so she might still be somewhere near there. I looked at the clock on the wall. I must have just missed her. This was no time to be chatting with Eri. Thank you very much. I'll try the shrine. You shouldn't bother those lovers, since they only see each other 4 times a year. He smiled mischievously and waved his hand in goodbye. I headed back to the shrine. I was going to park my bike by the stairs that lead to the shrine grounds. Satoko and I are the only people who park our bikes there normally, but I saw more than 10 bikes there today. People must be gathering at the convention room. There are more and more meetings when the Watanagashi festival draws closer. Seeing all these bikes reminded me that the summer is nearly here. Most of the bikes were old and beat up. However, I saw 2 unfamiliar ones parked there. Gonna have to go to bed soon before work, but a little bit more. I enjoy reading this story. They were sporty mountain bikes with the same design but different colors. They must belong to Takano and Tomataki. I went up the stairs to look for the 2 of them, but I couldn't find either. Was there any place with a great view for taking pictures? I tried looking in places like that, but I still couldn't find them. So I started looking based on what Takano might be interested in. I could only think of one place. How is it? Jiro-san. It's a pretty simple lock. All I need is the right tool, and I should be able to open it in a minute. You can do that. You opened the lock to my heart, but that's not the only thing you're good at, huh? Hee? I'm going to curse you! The 2 of them jumped up in surprise as I suddenly appeared in front of them. Hello, Rika-chan. It wasn't nice of you to scare us like that. It's not nice trying to open the ritual storehouse's lock either. You know what? I'm the shrine maid, and I decide who goes in there. How would I just get my key out and unlock it for you? I'll take you in myself. If you're so curious, since I am Rika Furude, I have the authority as the head of the Furude clan to decide who can go in there or not. So, if the head of the Furude clan gives you permission to go in with her, well, then it's perfectly fine. And not a taboo. She's right, Takano-san. We can't do something like that. Tomataki conceded right away, but Takano was stubborn. She made up excuses to try and fool me. Based on my previous lives, I knew just how much interest she had in this storehouse. It was actually rather impressive how hard she tried to cover that up. The ritual storehouse is full of the remainder of the dark history of Onagafuchi. It contains bloody and vicious tools that Takano is fascinated with. She should have a good idea as to what those things are inside of the storehouse, based on what she has been researching. She was making up some story about cultural treasures and such, but it was obvious that she was just making excuses. Tomataki also seemed impressed listening to Takano's phony justifications. In the past, I had tried to conceal what was inside of the storehouse from Takano because I don't want her spreading information about the holy and brutal traditions they used to have here in Onagafushi village. It would be a disgrace. As a member of the Furude family, I can't let that happen. Looking at the history of the Onagafushi and the way Takano does is a painful thing for Hanyu as well. For Hanyu, the ritual storehouse is a special place. I don't know what's so nice about being surrounded by those scary ritual tools, but she feels cozy when she's surrounded by the smell of old times. Sometimes nostalgia is more about a memory than whether or not that memory was good. This storage is like Hanyu's hideout. When I can't see her, she's usually relaxing in here. I don't want Hanyu's happy place to be turned into the bloody, horrifying den of evil Takano believes it to be. That's why I've been keeping Takano away from Ritual Storehouse. So be like, hey, you know what, guys? I'm the priestess of this place. I have the key. I have the authority to decide who can come in here or not. So, one time only, I will unlock it and you two will come with me. Tomataki, you are not to take any pictures. Takano, you are not to steal anything. Also, you are not to say anything disrespectful inside the shrine. You are to thank Oyashiro-sama. And You are not to say anything disrespectful about the shrine or Yoshiro-sama after you leave the shrine, and you must regularly give donations. It doesn't have to be a big one, just donations of maybe a few yen in here and there, and maybe some like cream puffs, some sort of sweet treats. Also, maybe some Frederica Bergenstell German-style wine with some orange juice. And ice. You have to have the ice. You can't offer the gods, warm wine. It has to be cold. What kind of savage doesn't drink their alcohol cold? Or imagine if you had flat Pepsi. Who would ever drink flat, warm Pepsi? That's gross. You need super carbonated Pepsi. That's cold. That's just... You want it so carbonated, but not so carbonated it explodes. And you want it as cold as it can possibly get without being frozen. Come to think of it, why am I so mean to her? Is it because I hate her? I should stop feeling that way. I have to keep in close contact with Takano and Takamataki. I won't give up just because it didn't work before. I'm going to try one more time. This world is different from the other ones. I might be able to change their fate, which in turn might change my own. Hanyu, I'm thinking about showing the ritual storehouse to Takano. Ow. Hanyu made an irritated face. Takano will lose herself in ecstasy if she sees what's inside of there. She'll run around spreading rumors of the bloody history of Onkafushi. Again, we'll let her in, but she's not allowed to say shit to people about it. Hanyu wasn't too excited about that prospect. I'm not trying to curry favor of Takano, but I think it might give me a chance to talk to her. Takano holds on to grudges, so if I'm mean to her now, she might not listen to me later. Ow. I understand that Hanyu doesn't want her inside this holy place, but she can't do anything more than be irritated about it. I'm the only one who can make the ultimate decision. Besides, she'll forgive me if I promise to eat something sweet later. We're bribing God with... We're bribing lollies with cream puffs and sweet treats and candy. Why am I imagining Rika driving a van? Everyone's like, no one's going to get that joke. It was in terrible taste and it's not funny. You know what would be good taste? Cream puffs. I want to buy cream puffs now. Everyone's like, why are you so fat, Lunar? Yeah. Takano, if you will keep it a secret, I'll let you in. But really? Inside the ritual storehouse? You don't mean inside an emergency shelter, right? I mean it. I'll let you into the ritual storehouse. You mean this storehouse? Inside of this building? I'm not trying to trick you or anything. I'll let you inside. Nipah! Is that Takano? Nipah! I had never seen such a big smile on her face before. Now this is a miracle. I'm seeing this face for the first time in 100 years. Tomataki must be feeling the same way. His image of Takano was slowly falling apart as we spoke, I'm sure. No, maybe he just found a new side of her to love instead. I'm surprised that Takano is actually such a funny person. Communication is important. It's sometimes so hard to tell what people are all about. We remained there and watched Takano's spitting and delight for a while. This is a secret, so no one can see us going inside. You're right. I'll try and calm her down. I'll go get the keys now. By the time I came back with the key, Takano was totally calm again. She was obviously trying to hide how gleeful she was, though. I thought she was a mature lady, but she might still be a kid at heart. I think they called that something like gap moe. Yes, Takano is cute. And I do think the idea of Gap Moe is really nice. The idea of basically someone, despite being, you know, an older person who's been embittered by the fucking harsh reality of how much adulthood can crush your fucking soul with the weight of responsibilities and traumas and shit. You know how you can still, you know, be happy and lighthearted and cheerful and have like childlike happiness and adorableness. What can I say? I like adorable things and I like beautiful women. I say that I'm like imagining adorable things right now, like kittens. You guys ever like see a box of kittens? Or bunnies? Or little puppies? Why am I imagining Keanu Reeves playing with puppies? I picked up that term at some point from Keiichi, but I hit a button. I'm still not sure how it's used. Well then, Takano and Tomotaki, before we go inside, you must promise me something. Otherwise, you can't go in. Of course. You're willing to break the rules to open the forbidden storehouse for us. We'll keep our promises. Hehehe. Takano-san, you have to take this seriously. I am taking it seriously. Hehehe. My image of Takano is falling to pieces right now. Same here. Her market is crashing all over the world. Rena said it before. It's not a good idea to think about problems all on your own. I always hated the crazy part of Takano, and I didn't want to be close to her. But I never thought she could act this way. She was acting almost like Rena does when in her cute mode. Had I known that she was as funny a person as this, I wouldn't have felt resentment towards her. I mean, I can't imagine any reason we would feel any resentment toward Takano Mio. Any reason at all. I realize how important communicating can be. First of all, you have to promise you won't tell anybody that you went inside the storehouse. Do not tell anyone. Of course, I won't. I promise. Takano put her hands to her chest. She also forced Tomotaki to do the same. It was funny to watch Tomotaki trying to keep up with Takano too. Also, you can't damage anything inside the storehouse. Of course not. Is it okay if I take pictures? Meep. You can, but I'll charge 100 yen per picture. What? I mean, 100 yen's actually a pretty cheap price. We should have set a higher price. 100 yen's basically nothing. Isn't that like the equivalent of $1? Then again, it is 1983. Either way, inflation or not, in conversion or not, I still feel that's too cheap a price. I think 10,000 yen is an appropriate price. I mean, 100,000 yen, okay, we're being a little bit cheap. We're being a little bit ridiculous there. But 10,000 yen per picture, I think that's the bare minimum. 100,000's pushing it, maybe 1,000 yen minimum. But I would say the equivalent of 100 US dollars. What? How much money do you have on you right now, Jiro-san? If you pay me 10,000 yen, you can take all the photos you want. That's a good deal. I'll take it. Jiro-san. They paid me the money for real. Hanyu seemed excited, knowing that the money could be used for assumed cream puffs. For buying desserts. We're going to buy you some chocolate mousse and some puddings and... I have a question. Do people in Japan eat things like pumpkin pie? Like, I know they have, like, other types of sweet potatoes and stuff that are pretty popular. But, like, American-style pumpkin pie, how common is that for people in Japan to eat in 2025? Because I understand we do live in a post-globalist sort of world where there's such advanced, transportation. where pretty much every developed nation in the world has access to food from every culture on the planet. So, whether you're in America, Europe, Japan, you can have food from any, culture in the world. They paid me the money for real. Oh, Takano was such a nice person. You're so greedy. I finally got approval from Oyashiro-sama, the master of the storehouse. We'd have no more problems now. The ritual storehouse is behind the building with the convention room. Sometimes people come out for a cigarette break. I can't let anybody see us entering. You're good. No one is around. You're good. Tomotaki checked out the scene and gave me the signal to go ahead. I nodded him and unlocked the door. I pushed open the heavy door just far enough for us to sneak inside. It'll look suspicious if you wait outside like that. What? I can come inside too? He seemed surprised that I was asking him to come inside with us. I think this is the first time you actually got to come inside, Tomotaki. Out of context, that sentence sounds a little bit strange. This is the first time you got to come inside. I really didn't mean that in an austere way, when I first said it. I expected his surprised reaction. Jiro-san, Rika-chan is telling you to come inside. Okay. This is called an exclamation point. Technically, there was other ways to refer to certain statements within the English language. For example, if you had a strongly phrased sentence like this, especially if it was supposed to have a great deal of emotion behind it, and it had multiple exclamation points, the sentence, there's things in English grammar called prepositions and such. A sentence used in such a way as this would be referred to, and this is not a joke, and I am not making this up, this is an actual thing. A sentence used in such a way in the context of English grammar is referred to an ejaculation. I'm not joking. That is 100% true. I swear on Oyashiro-sama. Heck, I think it's even phrased that way in the book To Kill a Mockingbird. And in Something Wicked This Way Comes. Again. But How to Kill a Mockingbird. Because there's some statements of it, you have the quotations and it said such and such screamed, such and such proclaimed, such and such exclaimed, such and such ejaculated. But it's not meant to be sexual. But alright. Tomotaki squeezed inside as Takano urged him. Jiro-san, Rika-chan is telling you to come inside. Come on now. Alright. Tomotaki squeezed inside as Takano urged him. I feel very, very strongly that I'm not the first person to notice this. I also feel like the author of this story intended this little double entendre. I turned the light on and closed the door, and then pulled out the scythe. I turned the light on and closed the door. Then I put the chain on from the inside and pulled out a kitchen knife. You're locking us in? Just so that a bad kitty won't sneak in inside, Hee hee, are you talking about me? Takano, a cat, is supposed to go all meow meow. Nipah. What do you mean? If you don't act like a cat, I'm not going to let you see what's in there. I brought cat ears and a collar with a bell for you, too. If you don't put them on and get on all fours and meow, then I won't open the next door. The shrine storehouse has 2 doors so that people can't see inside when the first door is opened. At that moment, we were inside the entry chamber. What is the word for that? A foyer? I feel like there's some fancy word for that. The real storehouse is in the room beyond. But what? That's a bad joke, Rika-chan. Then we pull out the cat ears. It's not a joke. Now get down on your knees, Takano. You wouldn't really... Huh? What the hell? I'll do it. Huh? What the hell? I'll do it if I have to. You're testing me to see how devoted I am to my research, aren't you, Rika-chan? Fine, if that's what you want, then I'll wear cat ears and bloomers and a tail and crawl on all fours before an empty milk bowl and beg, "Please let me drink your milk, master." You know, I get the impression that Ryuichi07, the author of this story, might not be entirely wholesome. He might have some lewd thoughts in his head. Granted, he wrote this story like 20 years ago. She definitely would have joined our club if she was around our age. I agree. Hey, remember how they said shredded stocks fell like snow on Wall Street during the Great Crash? Takano's value right now reminds me of that. Bring it on, Rika-chan. Are you sure I only have to wear these ears and the collar? Takano-san? This door isn't even locked. See? Push and it opens. Oh, really? Hee, my dear, how shameful of me. Hee. Tisk. Tomotaki has no sense of humor. He just turned off a lot of viewers who were looking forward to seeing Takano in the cat outfit. I mean, I was looking forward to that. Anyway, he's right. You just have to push it. Nipah. Once we went through the door, we found ourselves inside the storage area. There were no windows in there, so it was completely dark even during the day. There were several light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, but they were very dim, and their light only exaggerated the darkness inside. Oyashiro-sama's statue in the altar dominated the center of the room. They were surrounded by tons of ancient torture implements. They were all over the floor, walls, and ceiling. It looked like a torture room, rather than just a storage for tools intended for one. This is amazing. Ha 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 ha. Tomotaki was rendered speechless. They were nothing like those fake torture implements that they might have seen in a wax museum, or someplace like that. The tools in this room are the genuine articles. I never like to think about it, but I'm sure some of them really were used. These authentic tools always have a big impact on the people who see them. But Tomotaki was the only one who was shocked, since he was the only normal person in the room. Takano's eyes were sparkling. She was taking pictures while meowing like a cat. This place isn't special to me. Of course, I know I'm supposed to treat it as a holy place, but I'm so used to seeing it. All these things after coming here countless times since I was little. To me, it's nothing but a storehouse with a lot of old stuff inside. As for Hanyu, she says it's the only place there from times past lingers in the present day, so she actually finds it comforting. I get in a good mood when I come here because Hanyu gets in a good mood. This is a relaxing place for her. As I watch Tomotaki's reaction, I notice how totally off my values are from normal people's. Takano's reaction seemed more natural to me, in a sense. Hanyu seemed to be bothered by Tomotaki's reaction too. Maybe it was a bad idea to let him come inside after all. Not like I could kick him out at this point. Hanyu and I sat on a cushion in front of the altar and watched Takano dance with childish glee, while Tomotaki made touching efforts to keep up. I wonder why they made so many torture implements. The whole purpose of torture is to make people confess something, right? Why was it necessary for them to have so many? Jiro-san, do you know that there are 2 ways to threaten people with torture implements? The first one is to inflict pain on the victim. The other way is to threaten the victim by showing him the tools. In that sense, having a countless number of them can give tremendous fear to the victim. I've heard that torture requires skill. I suppose it's hard to really hurt people without killing them. Tomotaki acted like he's having a conversation with Takano, but his voice was obviously unsteady. Some Western torture implements were so vicious that if they really used on the victim, they would have killed him instantly. To be precise, there are 2 types of torture implements. First, there are simple tools that are simply used to make the victim confess. The other type is for entertaining those who are watching the torture. I'm frustrated that some people can't tell the difference between those 2. Hee. Let me ask you, what were they trying to gain from the victims by using these tools? Tomotaki asked me that. He must have thought that Takano would say something far more scary if he asked her. He's forgetting that I'm just a little innocent girl. I think they were forcing their victims to obey the rules of the Onagafushi village. That's what I believe, am I right? Yes, you are. Most of those tools were never built for actual use. They were simply displayed in front of the villagers to intimidate them. That's why there are records saying that they actually tried to use them. Some of them were wrong size or simply malfunctioned. So they really did use some of them, then. That's not a pleasant story. Some people were just not obedient, despite the threat of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Hey, Rika-chan, are you sure that these tools were mainly used to intimidate people in the village? I've heard that these were used for cooking and dissecting during the real Watanagashi. Hanyu was making a frustrated face. She didn't want to remember the dark history of Onagafushi village. People performed countless torture ceremonies in front of her, claiming that they were doing it in her name, the name of Oyashiro-sama. That's gotta suck to have people kill people in your name, and you don't want them to do that. She asked them not to do that, but no one was able to hear or see her. No comment. Nipah. She always talks to me about it too. Long ago, the villagers of Onagafushi would receive a divine message, go down to the foot of the mountain, kidnap people, and eat them, right? I wonder why they did that. Was it to display a force or something? I believe it was a type of ceremony to make them all realize they were higher in the food chain. The greatest outspoken reasons Onagafushi forbade intermingling with outsiders were the villagers was a holy land, and they were the transcendents, greater beings than humans. Mingling with tainted humans will bring corruption. That's what they were taught. So they probably needed to reaffirm their idea that they were above humans at regular intervals. In Japan, there was a tradition of displaying severed heads on pikes. While such a warning isn't humane, it's an extremely good deterrent. The victim was brutally tortured in public, and then they were eaten alive. What would you think if you saw something like that? Anyone would simply think that they wouldn't want to be in that same situation. There's also a history of crucifixion in this country. Technically, usually the main cause of death when it comes to crucifixion is suffocation, because when your arms are out like that, it makes it impossible to properly expand your rib cage, usually causing people to suffocate. Other than that, sometimes people push up their legs a bit, so they'll usually take a sledgehammer and break the person's legs so they can stop doing that. Other than that, there are some situations where people will be stabbed or something to make the death experience more expedient as a form of mercy. Sometimes things are made worse or better, depending on, the inclinations of those around. But no matter what, even under the best of circumstances, it's a horribly cruel thing to do to somebody. And it is a grotesque sight that would certainly intimidate anybody. They hung the victim and stabbed him with spears in front of an audience. People don't really die from being stabbed once or twice. They might have a chance to die if they were stabbed in the stomach or the chest, but it's not instant like a guillotine. It usually depends on what arteries. They bled from their wounds, their guts were pulled out, and they eventually died by drowning in their own blood. Technically, you can either have blood leak into the lungs, or instead of drowning from blood like that, if you lose enough blood, it lowers your blood pressure enough that you die. Also, lack of blood or oxygen to the brain will cause death because you need your brain to live. Also, enough pain will cause a person to go into shock. Also, certain scary enough or traumatic incidents, enough painful, can cause heart attacks or strokes. Severe stress. Also, depending on the amount of adrenaline going through a person's body, they can die from minor wounds. For example, it is possible that a 6.5 foot tall, fully grown football linebacker could be in a state of hyper arousal of adrenaline and have just like his big toe cut off, and he could bleed to death within minutes just from that because of the accelerated heartbeat. That's the thing, adrenaline does let you have more strength. Technically your body needs a very tiny bit of adrenaline at all times, but it's usually a very minor amount. Same way your brain does produce chemicals similar to THC, and it does produce a true form of DMT, just in very small... Technically the form of THC your brain produces is a slightly different chemical chain than what's in weed. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it is a cannabinoid type. Same way there is CBD, which is also from hemp, but it doesn't get you high. Then there's also the fact that DMT is naturally produced in the human brain, but it's always, granted it's at its highest amounts when you're like dreaming or dying, or certain other states that can happen to you naturally. But, and of course, there's people through meditation can learn how to teach their own brains to do such a thing, but that's a very complicated and time-consuming thing. But if you have the discipline for it, I guess you can go the path of Netero from Hunter x Hunter. Now, of course, there's people that do various types of drugs to do that type of stuff, which there's different classifications of drugs. There's stimulants, there's depressants, there's opioids, there's dissociatives, there's deliriants. And of course, many opioids are extremely dangerous because they're very addictive. Your pain centers get dependent on them, and also it can depress your system so much that your lungs stop and you die. Also, it tends to fuck up your brain's ability to feel things like happiness or sanity. And things like meth and heroin can cause permanent brain damage, as can anything that impacts oxygen flow to the brain. Now, nicotine is extremely addictive to a human brain. It provides both a stimulating effect as well as a calming effect. That's why usually a lot of people, if they stop smoking, will become much more tired, gain weight, and be extremely agitated, like they're constantly about to snap. Drinking? I think alcohol, heroin, and meth are some of the few drugs that if you're really addicted to, you can die if you just go cold turkey. Now, alcohol, maybe not as severe as something like heroin, but hypothetically, if a person is very, very addicted to alcohol, if they suddenly quit just completely cold turkey, their body will be full on shaking and they will be in a very, very miserable condition. And it is actually possible for the human body to just die from not having alcohol. Now, that's just if it's a sudden. I would say my advice is that alcohol is not good for a person, but of course, it's technically a poison, and it does kind of put stress on your liver. Now and it does impair a person's judgment and coordination. Now that being said, alcohol can have its uses, especially since before we had painkillers in the past. But while I would say alcohol shouldn't be necessary for people out there to be happy, I would say if you're someone out there who feels inclined to drink alcohol, my first thing I would say to you is never drink alcohol and drive. Also, if you're ever going to be operating some heavy machinery or a gun, one of that, you shouldn't be drinking. Like, I'm pro Second Amendment. I think guns are very important, as is the ability of people to defend themselves. But I don't think people should be drinking alcohol and having access to firearms at the same time. I feel like between the lack of ability to properly control a firearm and perhaps good judgment, I think that would be leading to a very disastrous outcome. I think the most important thing I can say to anybody is that if you choose to drink alcohol, the most important thing is to know your limit. You shouldn't drink so much that it would make you sick or even really give you a hangover. Like, you should never get blackout drunk or anything like that. And honestly, I would say more than likely, if anyone ever feels compelled to get to the point of being blackout drunk, you may need to reevaluate your motives and what you're drinking for. Because at that point, you're either... Yeah, because here's the thing. It'd be one thing if you're drinking a couple drinks sociably, that's fine. Even if it's something to kill off migraine or something. But if you're someone who's drinking enough that you could potentially put you to the point of blackout drunk, then I would honestly see that as a sign that perhaps it should be a red flag that everyone around you should be picking up on, indicating that you're not drinking the alcohol to be drunk. And not necessarily to kill yourself, but it should be a sign that if a person is drinking so much alcohol that it would put them in a very unhealthy situation, especially if it's an out of the ordinary circumstance, it should be seen as a serious red flag that that person is suicidal, even if they're not fully admitted of it. So, to anyone out there, if you're drinking to the point of even getting halfway close to being blackout, or that you're drinking so much that it's extremely unhealthy for you, then you may need to consider that perhaps you're doing that because you are in a state where you are perhaps feeling suicidal. Now, that being said, I would say if you are to drink alcohol, just make sure that you're in a safe place around people you can trust, and make sure that you just have things set up in a way that's comfortable for you. You shouldn't be driving a car or operating anything difficult or dangerous or making important decisions. And you should simply know your limit. You should know how much your body can handle, and you should, at that point, if you are to drink, you should only drink to actually have a good time. But at the point that the drinking would ever cause a bad time for you, whether by making you overly sick at that moment or sick later, or become an addiction, or could possibly lead to social or physical consequences in the future, well, then that's not in your best interest. So, simply put, I would say this. If you are to drink, drink in moderation, drink responsibly, and be safe about it. And know your limits. And don't ever try to push your limits on that. Now, that being said, it would be better if you could simply be completely happy without drinking alcohol at all. It is technically a poison, and it is not good for you. However, if you want to drink alcohol, I see nothing wrong with it as long as you do it responsibly, and as long as you don't do it in a way that would cause you or anyone else suffering. Whereas there are other drugs that, well, there is no using it responsibly, like heroin or meth or fentanyl. I would guess also cocaine and crack would fit into that. Like, there's no way to use that responsibly. Like, there's no circumstance in which you'd be doing any of those things. And technically, there's even less healthy versions of those things. There's a form of meth that's made from, like, Raid bug spray that's, like, put onto, like, electric fences, and the crystals off of the poison that kills the bugs off of the electrical fence. The electrical current makes crystals. Technically, there's a stronger form of fentanyl out there called nitazene. It was made back in the 1950s. It was originally considered as an alternate option to morphine. The idea being is they wanted to make a cheaper, more readily supply of painkillers for doctors to use. However, the idea was scrapped because they realized that the formula for nitazenes was so strong that the probability of a nurse accidentally misjudging a dose, even if she was really well informed about what to do, it was so sensitive and needed to be diluted so much, the possibility that the medication could be accidentally overdosed to a patient, I mean, it was way too strong, way too sensitive. It just required too much dilution, which on the one hand saves money if you can dilute something enough. But the thing is, it was just considered too dangerous that the probability of accidentally killing somebody. In fact, one of the highest paid doctors out there is an anesthesiologist. Because while painkiller is a very, important resource, I mean, I can't see any surgery happening without painkillers, whether it be dental or bodily. But even then, you have to be careful. Not enough and the person's screaming in pain. Too much and, they're dead. It takes a lot of caution. That being said, I'd say certain drugs like ketamine, or there's the stuff that's in various types of like Robitussin and stuff. People, they do stuff like a robo-tripping, where they have a ton of cough syrup, which again, that stuff is not good for you. It would actually cause like severe brain damage. Could possibly cause dissociative events. Granted, people have those naturally in life, but that's also equally for not good reasons. But at least in that circumstance, the dissociation is caused by something that is beyond the person's control. So, that's a different circumstance that doesn't involve drugs at all. And of course, I would say perhaps one of the most dangerous would be outright deliriums, because those could literally cause schizophrenia, and they can cause severe brain damage, if not kill a person. And even if they don't kill you, they can likely trigger a permanent psychosis within a person. And again, those things can occur naturally within a person, but they're usually a mix of genetic factors as well as traumatic incidents that happen to a person, which again, all of those are not happy or pleasant, but that's just how human psychology works. That being said, I would say there are certain chemicals that can be extremely beneficial to humans, and certainly there are some things that I overuse, such as caffeine and sugar. I am like Hanyu, I do like sweet foods, and perhaps I eat a bit more pizza and fast food and Pepsi than I should. I at least drink way less energy drinks than I used to. I'll still occasionally drink a bit of an energy drink. That's funny. Sometimes I'll just take like a amp energy drink or something, and I'll just pour it into a little shot glass and sip on it slowly. And drink the energy drink over a course of like a day. Now, granted, there have been jobs I've worked in the past where I had to basically chug energy drinks, and some jobs required they just asked way too much. Heck, the job I had before this one, I was having to work. It's just what they were asking was just way too much. I was basically living on Advil and energy drinks. But that I didn't have a choice in the matter. I had to make money to pay rent. So, no choice. At that point, it basically amounts to drink energy drinks or die. And then eventually it became an option where even continuing to drink energy drinks I was gonna have a heart attack. So, decided that wouldn't be preferable. So I made a decision based on what was best to, not die, because I do value my life. But the main point is this: there's a lot of chemicals that exist, things that occur naturally in the human brain, that, heck, even whether you get plenty of sleep or not enough, stress, or even whether or not you're hungry or not, that can even affect your mood, memory, and of course certain genetic conditions. And then of course, there's different chemicals. Heck, I have gone to various vitamin stores, occasionally getting a supplement here and there, hoping that, something would help me either build more muscle or, be less depressed. Not the best luck on that. But hey, a little bit of various supplements and see how it works. Though, yeah, I have not. Then again, I've never had a six-pack once in my life. And I am kind of chubby at the moment, so. Heck, at one point I was saying whether or not I'd be able to have a six-pack and maybe cosplay 2003 Testament. That being said, heck, I remember there was times I went 3 or 4 days eating nothing but pickles. Didn't lose a fucking pound. And a lot of times I just wound up having my body break down more, because it turns out you can't just starve yourself with no nothing, especially protein, or else your body just sort of breaks down and gets sore and injured easier. I guess the main thing is this. You just have to be careful what chemicals are in your body. And of course, there's some chemicals you need. But even then, even chemicals that your body requires, moderation. And there are some things, like, say, antidepressants, from a doctor. If your doctor feels it's necessary, that's probably for the best, but it's your choice. But more importantly, the biggest problem with antidepressants is this. Those are the kind of chemicals that, once you're on them, you have to keep taking them. Your body becomes adjusted to them, to the point that if you were to stop taking them, you would become far worse than if you had never taken them at all. Now, that being said, if you're ever in a situation where you absolutely have to get off of them and you have no choice in the matter, then I would say your only recourse then would be do so in the most gradual way possible. In that sense, a guillotine is such a merciful tool. Did you know? The guillotine was invented for the nobility. It was invented because they were able to die instantly, which wasn't the case with shooting or hanging. The nobles got special treatment all the way up to death. There's an old black and white movie that I know of. It's a love story set during the French Revolution, but the final guillotine scene is the best part. If I didn't know better, I would think maybe Takano has something dark about her. But that can't be the case. I mean, she's a nurse. Nurses would never hurt anyone or cheat on anyone. The nobles are lined up and bound in chains, and they get publicly executed on the guillotine one by one. Snap. Next. Snap. Next. Snap. Human lives are taken away like they're on a conveyor belt. There's no last words or prayers or anything. Snap. Next. Snap. It's not even that entertaining because it's over in a flash. No one holds any sentiment for their deaths. The audience enjoys how the nobles' heads are sliced off like vegetables. It's like a show to them. I think it's more respectful to kill someone slowly and brutally. That way people will pay a little bit more attention to them, right? He. Yoshiro-sama here was the one who made this brutal torture possible. Takano raises her hand to honor the statue of Oyoshiro-sama. Oyoshiro-sama is just an idol created by human beings. Hanyu, how do you feel about this? That idol was worshipped with fear and made divine. Yes, people laid the bricks of his church with rules and doctrines, strengthening it with the mortar and curses and malediction. As they stacked and stacked those bricks up high, its height reached up to heaven, and their god was placed above it all. Gods are born because people desire them. So when people seek to rule others with fear, they become the collection of blood, torture, and pure terror. And here they call that god Oyoshiro-sama. Mio Takano-san ejaculated. See, that's how you use it. In context. And it still sounds sexual. In other words, this proves that the stairs to godhood are built not by gods, but by human hands, and shows that the way for us humans to attain further heights and... Her passionate lecture was interrupted by a loud noise. As I looked back, Hanyu was jumping up and down with her eyes full of tears. You may be 1,000 years plus, but having those 1,000 years take place with you watching people murder people in your name and not be able to say anything about it, probably traumatizing. Thud, thud, thud. She was stomping on the floor as hard as she could, making a loud noise instead of screaming out with her unheard voice. However, it all amounted to the same thing. Hanyu cannot be heard by people. That's not right. That's not right. I'm not like that. Hanyu. I hate seeing people getting tortured, killed. Many times I use stories like Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Cell, The Cube, Demonophobia, as psychological experiments, as thought experiments, as a proof to people that hell and such evil like that is not justifiable. It's funny, I have a fascination with stories like Edgar Allan Poe, The Canterbury Tales, Shakespeare, Don Quixote, and yet, despite playing games like Grand Theft Auto, enjoying very morbid stories, and watching scary movies, I essentially live my life trying to be a pacifist. I've only ever hurt anyone in self-defense. And even though I have lived a life where I feel very frustrated and angry and resentful and hurt and jaded and worthless and powerless and scared and above all just very hurt and angry, I feel disgusted at the idea of hurting anyone. And I feel disgusted at the idea of other people getting hurt. I sincerely want a world where no one would be able to hurt anyone else, not because they're not able to, but because everyone truly has empathy and care for other people. Because the idea of the suffering of others is too much. Then again, human beings do have a limited amount of empathy. And of course, if you think about this stuff all the time, you can burn yourself out. And of course, you have to be mindful of just what's going out there. And heck, many things like the news and stuff will also try to manipulate those feelings, even for good intentions, for bad purposes. Also, while I do find these horns to actually be cute rather than ugly, I see this crack here, and my first concern of all is, are you okay, Hanyu? And even though usually there's a thing with religions and, you let, like, many churches will lay their hands on someone's head and pray over them, anointing and all that. I feel like the best thing to do right now would be to give Yoshiro-sama here some head pats. Some gentle reassurance that everything's okay. But I'll say this. I do find violent video games and movies entertaining. But the idea of actual people who can actually feel pain, actually suffer, being tortured or killed, I find horrible. It's kind of a funny thing. There's many people that play horror villains, whether it's the guy from the Jigsaw movies, or the guy who played, I think, Robert Englund, the person who played, I think it's Tobin Bell who played the Jigsaw guy, John Kramer. Then, of course, Robert Englund played the original Freddy the Krueger. And we had Elliot Spencer, the person who's Pinhead, was played by the actor. Oh, fuck. Can't remember. I should know this name. I can't. I'm struggling to remember this. I can't remember. I'll look it up on Google real quick. Doug Bradley. I should have been able to remember that, but I couldn't. That being said, an interesting thing, when they were making the original Pinhead movie, the makeup for Pinhead, well, it took a long time to take on and take off, so you couldn't just take it off a lot of times between takes. But between takes, he'd go to a bar, and he'd go have a few drinks, and there'd be people there, and they wouldn't. And of course, the movie Hellraiser hadn't come out yet. And he'd actually, pick up women that way in a bar. And this is back like in the 80s. And this is before the first Hellraiser movie came out. But that being said, all those people I mentioned, like I said, heck, even like all those people, heck, even Heath Ledger, when he played the Joker, a lot of times was legitimately the most pleasant person to be around on set, and would just skateboard and just hang out with people like he's just enjoying life. They saw the movies themselves much like Patrick Stewart. After all, Patrick Stewart, before he was Jean-Luc Picard, or Charles Xavier, he was an actual legitimate Shakespearean actor for actual plays. And he simply enjoyed the stories and the acting and the emotions. After all, many of the old Greek tragedies are stories that were written 1500 years before Shakespeare was even born, if not further, especially the earlier ones. Were always stories for people to learn from. Because no one's actually heard in a story, but the emotions they can evoke in a person are just as true. And Patrick Stewart truly enjoyed playing his roles in the various Shakespeare plays. But also, Patrick Stewart, just like Doug Bradley, Robert Englund, Tobin Bell, were all people who were actually, in real life, extremely against violence. Now, don't be wrong, they would certainly be violent if they themselves were attacked or for a good cause. But in general, they felt things like torture and murder and all those things were terrible and horrible and inexcusable. Like the actors who play people like Pinhead and Freddy Krueger are actually some of the nicest, most polite people you've ever met, who would never hurt an innocent person, and are actually very outspoken on things like torture shouldn't exist. And even Tobin Bell, the actor who played John Kramer, was not only very vocal on such a sentiment as well, but also that realistically, if somebody is going through the things that the people in those movies are going through, that the traps in the movies are not the best course of action for helping someone who's dealing with any of those issues. At the end of the day, the most important thing that you could perhaps do for somebody is literally just be their friend. A lot of times, you don't treat PTSD with more PTSD. But a lot of times it's time, rest, and emotional support. Though I suppose in the year 2025, a lot of people don't really have any sort of support networks anymore. We have become much more divided as a people. We're much more isolated, especially since the evidence of 2020, keep 6 feet apart. Regardless of the reasons why it was done, and regardless if you agree if it was right or not, you can't deny that it's had a effect on the social structure of us on a society and as individuals. It's changed people. It's a large... Granted, one could argue there's many other things that are influencing it, but I'd say many more people are very isolated, largely due to that. Granted, there are many times, situations, and usually, if there's ever a bad thing going on, there's usually more than just one neat little explanation. But, yeah, I enjoy playing games like Grand Theft Auto. Heck, the original Crackdown game, you had a harpoon gun. Harpoon a dozen people to your tires, then drive with those people going flip, flip, flip over your tires over and over down the sidewalk while shooting rocket launchers out or doing things Grand Theft Auto. Then again, it was Socrates that said that things like Mortal Kombat and Grand Theft Auto were good for people. And again, people would say, but Socrates wasn't around during the age of video games. There weren't PlayStations back during the ancient Greece. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But he did say things like shooting a straw dummy with a bow and arrow or chopping at it with a sword was emotionally beneficial to a human. It was a cathartic release of pent-up emotions, and it actually allowed people to express feelings that needed to be expressed, that then allowed them to be a more peaceful person in the rest of their life and allowed them to have a more emotional control and to be more a functioning member of society. Simply put is this: there is nothing wrong with any emotion a person has. It's all about moderation and control. Like, there's nothing wrong with a person having feelings of anger, fear, or sadness from time to time, even in times and situations where there's no reason for that emotion. But if it's ever so strong that it's causing you distress, or if you can't manage it correctly, then it's bad. But in the same regard, it would not be healthy to not be able to experience those emotions. Everything's about the right balance. Though I would say, if one were to describe sadness, one would then describe it as, if sadness is an ingredient in a chili, then sadness is the salt. You need a tiny bit of salt, otherwise the rest of the flavors mean nothing. But even if 1% of the chili is salt, all you taste is salt. It has to be used that sparingly. People should be able to feel sadness from time to time, but it shouldn't be too frequent and it shouldn't be too severe. Whereas happiness should be the tomato soup itself. Perhaps not the best analogy to use, given the horrible other way I've described tomato soup earlier. I guess I'm just not very good at talking about things like this. Then again, I don't talk to other people. All my friends are gone. I'm alienated from my son. I go to work. I come home. That's it. I would say I occasionally go to the gym, but most of the time I tend to keep injuring myself just from doing my job. It's a physical manual labor job, and apparently my body just isn't the best at that. I've never been athletic. Heck, I have a terrible sense of balance. I can't even ride a bicycle without falling over, and I certainly couldn't afford those medical bills if I were to try to force myself. Like, oh, you're never too late to learn to drive a bicycle. I will fucking break my leg. I get injured easily. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had depression for like 30 plus years at this point. So, but hey, at least always in public I'm always smiling. And I'm always friendly and nice to everybody. But with the exception of my mother, I don't remember what a hug feels like. I love my mom very, very much. That being said, I usually only see my mom maybe once or twice a month. And like I said, she's never been perfect. She has her issues. And there are certainly some major problems with her. But I love her very much and I accept her with all her flaws. I don't look at her with rose-tinted glasses. I see her as she is. She has her issues. And she's certainly fucked up in her life over and over in regard to things that have nothing to do with me and definitely in regard to things that do have to do with me. But she is the person that understands me the most and who cares about me. And I care about her. And I value the memories I have with her. I remember her cooking home-cooked food when I was younger. And me sitting in the kitchen talking to her. She put a lot of effort in that cooking, and I think she did a good job, and I enjoyed the food she made. And I enjoyed just sitting there and talking to her. I enjoyed playing Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Spyro the Dragon with her. And I enjoyed many memories where she was there and supportive of me and helped me with a lot of things when I was a child. She has her issues, and she has done and said things that I don't like or appreciate or agree with. But in the end, I love her very, 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 very much. And whenever the time comes that she does die, I will miss her, and I will feel devastated. Because she means that much to me. I also, my ear itches, hold on. But also, I also feel like my mom is the only person left I have in this world. So, when she does die, it'll be more than I just feel like I'm all alone. I will be. And granted, I love my son, but I can't. I'm alienated from him, plus even then, I'm the parent in that situation. It's not like I can rely on him for anything. I'm the one who's supposed to be that rock of foundation for him. Would be if I'd actually even had the option of that matter, but hey, we've already been over the circumstance of how I got fucked over on that. But I'm so glad he's safe and happy, and that's why I did all the, managing collateral damage, just so I could keep him safe. Just so I could protect him. But as far as in this world, I know whenever my mom does die, I will be extremely sad. And I will be completely alone in this world. But I'm already really good at talking to myself, so. And over time, you just sort of learn to accept that for the most part, everyone else in the world just isn't real. That everyone hates you or wants to hurt you. So, eventually common sense catches up with you. But yeah, I've always disliked the idea of the stories of hell and stuff with the Bible. I feel it's unjustifiable, and I've tried to argue against it and explain how I feel about it using many different circumstances and examples. But I think the biggest thing is this: take the most cursed game ever, demonophobia. How could you ever justify someone actually having to go through something like that? So I'll say this. I enjoy violent movies and video games. But I also can say 100%. I hate seeing people getting tortured or killed. And I feel it's horrible that anybody would want to hurt anybody, let alone hurt an innocent person who isn't a threat or a danger to you, to be needlessly cruel. It's funny, I'm the kind of person who would like to sit and watch. I'm the kind of person who would like to sit and read Edgar Allan Poe. But then I just want to sit there and pet a little kitty cat and watch adorable YouTube videos. I find scientific things fascinating too. Whether it be chemical reactions, human physiology, space travel, physics, mathematics, various principles, the way trains work, history, World War I, World War II. How weather, like volcanoes and storms, work. Then again, I'm the kind of person, if it rains outside and if I had the chance, I like to sit on the front porch and just watch the storms. I like to walk on the bike trail quite a bit. I like to sit and just watch a river go by. Heck, I'm the kind of person, if I had the power to teleport anywhere on the planet, it may sound lame, but I'd teleport all over the planet, walk every bike trail I could, walk every hiking trail. And it certainly would be nice to bring someone I can trust and feel safe with on such things, whether they're just a platonic friend or a romantic partner. The funny thing is this, every girlfriend or wife I ever had, none of them ever wanted to walk on a bike trail with me. And I know, perhaps it does sound like a lame thing to people, but I like it. And I like the idea of sharing something so meaningful with other people. Heck, I think it'd be cool if you could walk around video game levels like Spyro the Dragon. Now granted, some video games like Bloodborne, but not with enemies or traps. Or like if it's an icy area, I don't want to actually be cold, but I want to see the snow and feel it. I don't want to be super cold or uncomfortable. It's like I grew up in Boy Scouts, and I'm an Eagle Scout and everything, but I don't ever want to go camping again. I like my air conditioning and my fan and my bed and my blankets and being inside, and I like my ice cold Pepsi and my anime and my video games. But I agree with this. Like, at my core, I'm an overly sentimental person, an overly sensitive person, which is funny. Heck, throughout the course of my life, I've probably cried like 10,000 times. Heck, about 3.5 years ago, I recorded like a 13.5-hour video where I think I spent at least a good solid 8 hours of it just crying while laughing at screaming volumes. I didn't delete that video because it was cringe. Everything I make is cringe. That's nothing new. But the sounds I was making, I didn't like those sounds. I don't want to ever hear myself make those noises again. I cried so much and yelled and screamed so much that my body couldn't handle the stress, and I just started vomiting and shaking a lot. I was especially sad that day. But then again, I guess especially sad is perhaps the accurate, maybe perhaps not strong enough way of describing someone spending a solid 8 hours straight crying with their face covered in snot and tears as they're literally screaming and laughing and crying at screaming volumes for like 8 hours straight. To the point that they just start vomiting and shaking and feeling lightheaded. I then had a few hours of composing myself and trying to do a little bit of karaoke, I guess, but yeah. Initially I was going to upload that video, but YouTube didn't want a video over 12 hours. And then when it came to actually properly uploading it, I just played the video and recorded a couple snippets in OBS, the parts that were coherent, that weren't me just outright crying and screaming. So, but the rest of it is like I didn't delete it because it was cringy or made me look bad. Because at the end of the day, that's every video I make. Every video I make is cringy and makes me look bad. I don't care about that. I fully accept I'm the cringiest person on the internet. And I accept that every video I make on here makes me look bad in some terrible, horrible way. That doesn't matter. I'm here just to be myself. It's more so just the noises I was making as I was crying. It made me feel very, very sad and unpleasant listening to myself making those noises. And I just didn't want to hear that ever again. It was just, as my phone rings in the distance. I'm not, even if I stood up and went over there to answer to be, I'll have to check what that is after I finish. I know I have to go to bed soon anyway. And the phone is distracting. But main point I was trying to say with that is this. In front of other people, it's been very rare for me to ever cry in front of other people. It's usually a situation like somebody died, or something very serious occurred, or again, I was just really, really unwell and there were serious problems. But for the most part, I tend not to express those certain types of emotions. I tend not to cry in front of people. To the point that a lot of people tend to think that I don't have emotions. A lot of people seem to think I'm a robot. They think I don't have feelings or emotions. But in actuality, I have a lot of emotions, and I have very strong ones, and very ever-present, always kind of in a state of pain emotions, but I don't express those. But that's just because that stuff's personal. I do know there's a lot of times where I've just sort of laid in bed, listened to nightcore music in the dark, and just cried to myself with tears streaming down my face. But again, that's a personal thing, and anytime I do that, it helps me to be more stable for when I'm in front of other people. But Yeah, I said there's lots of things I'm angry about over the past, with a lot of things in life, but I enjoy violent video games, but I don't enjoy the idea of people being violent to other people in real life. I'm the kind of person who likes Shakespeare plays like Macbeth and such, but I'd never want people to actually be getting hurt. I enjoy a good story, but at the end of the day, I want everyone on the stage to be able to stand up and wipe away the corn syrup and all share a good laugh with each other and all just be good friends. And heck, the after parties in this game tend to do that very well. Heck, to a large degree, I can see all these characters as a bit of me. Satoshi, Retta, heck, even right now I feel like I have a personality a bit similar to Hanyu. Then again, I guess a lot of people would probably say they relate to this idea. But then again, between a lot of personal experiences I've had, as well as just way I was raised on certain things, it's just, yeah. And of course the implications when it comes to religion. It's just, I never found the idea of hell justifiable. And I agree very strongly with this sentence right here. And I feel things like the movie's Hellraiser. I feel like the main purpose of such a thing is that for people to see these movies and understand just how serious it is. Because here's a lot of things. A lot of people in churches, like, they have all these little smile stuff, and they claim to be good people, but they're always talking about people going to hell and burning for eternity for small disagreements and stuff like that. I'm like, have you taken a moment to really consider what that entails? How horrible a thing you're wishing on another human being? Like, yes, there are some people that are legitimately very bad people, but there's no reason to keep that soul around just to torture them. If they're truly so horrible, then just have them go into oblivion. Why keep an evil spirit around just to cause its suffering? And I understand there might be victims that want justification, vengeance. And even then, okay, fine. But, eternity seems excessive. Maybe just 20 years, like Dante's Inferno type thing? That should be plenty. Besides, if everything's done that way, then it means the souls that get their vengeance know that the people that harm them are being tortured forever. Eventually, wouldn't that in itself cause psychological damage to eternal souls? Plus, if there's always that threat, then does that mean you can be kicked out of heaven and sent to hell afterward? Hell, if war exists in heaven at one point, why can't it just exist again? Then you got to think about, okay, what are people like? Are you going to be like the angels, biblically accurate angels? How are your emotions and body going to be? Lots of things that would just, a lot of people either don't pay attention to or take for granted that would be, in of itself, excessively cruel. I feel it an extremely important thing that all people should have, though I fully admit there are many people that lack any of these three traits. And I feel all three of these traits are extremely important for somebody to be a good person. For someone to have a balanced mindset, full of plenty of self-reflection and growth and learning and experiences and reading, and just an emotional balance, and time of just emotional growth. But also I think people should have compassion, kindness, passion itself, as well as actual compassion, and reverence for life. That, taking life is a serious matter. That you should have a compassion and reverence for life. Emotions like kindness, love, mercy, and a balance. I don't know. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I want people to be happy together. Of course, not everything is perfect, but I never asked people to do such horrible things. Hanyu, you are who you are. Oyashiro-sama has nothing to do with you. That's not right. I hate Takano. I hate her. She always says horrible things about me. She's a bully. Was it a bad idea for me to bring Takano in here? I knew that Takano would get overstimulated and say something like this. Fortunately, Hanyu's rejection indirectly reached Takano, and she stopped lecturing. Somehow Tomotaki had heard the noise that Hanyu made. He pressed his finger in front of his lips and told Takano to be quiet. What is it? Well, I just heard a sound like a child was jumping around. There might be a child somewhere near this building. Really? I didn't hear anything. I'm sure I heard it. Takano-san, we're in here in secret. I think you should look around without making noise. Takano seemed disappointed, but Tomotaki was right. She had no choice but to be quiet. Tomotaki, there are no children around this place. Are you sure? You didn't hear it either? I'm sure I heard a noise. I heard it too, but it wasn't coming from outside the building. It was jumping right behind me. I guess you heard it from far away? But it was very loud to me. I was standing in front of the altar, and the statue of Oyashiro-sama was right behind me. Tomotaki seemed freaked out after hearing what I just told him. Although he was trying to fake a smile, his face was turning pale. However, Takano didn't seem scared at all. Takano? You can't say things that would upset Oyashiro-sama in front of him. Oyashiro-sama is very angry now. Can't you hear his voice? It's fortunate that she can't, to be honest. Even if she heard it, it would be nothing but tears. My job as a shrine maiden, to begin with, is to tell humans what Oyashiro-sama is feeling. I am responsible for speaking on Hanyu's behalf. Takano must have realized that I was very serious about what I just said. She apologized to me right away. I'm sorry. I took it too far. I'm sorry, Oyashiro-sama. You are a god as long as people worship you. Even though I may not worship you, you are still holy. I'm sorry for disrespecting you. Oyashiro-sama loves sweet food. You'll get cursed unless you offer her something sweet through me. Tomotaki couldn't help but smile. Takano also smiled. She bowed to me, promising to bring over some cream puffs soon. Takano finally stopped saying bad things about Oyashiro-sama. She also promised to bring me something sweet. Hanyu was still upset, but she was probably satisfied for the moment. But I didn't know what she meant by the 3 fingers she was showing me. Was she telling me to ask Takano for that too? Being her shrine maiden is not an easy thing. Oyashiro-sama is saying that he wants at least 3 cream puffs. I just want to make it clear that it's not asking me for that. Puff, haha. They took it as a joke I made to reduce the tension. Tomotaki and Takano cracked up, holding their stomachs. Hanyu was looking at them with surprise, not knowing why they were laughing. My face, meanwhile, was turning red with embarrassment. Fine. I'll get 3 delicious cream puffs for Oyashiro-sama. Should I get some for you and Satoku-chan, too? No, I don't need any. But there is something that I want to tell you. What is it? Since you let me inside the storehouse today, I'm willing to do anything for you now. Then I want you to believe what I'm about to tell you. Please don't ask me why or make fun of me. Please believe me and change fate to save me." Both of them are surprised to see such a serious look on my face. I was sure they'd be surprised. After all, I was about to explain to them that they were going to die in 2 days. I'm sure they'd want to deny that, but I knew a fair bit about their deaths. If I could explain it to them in detail, they wouldn't be able to laugh it off. I'd talked to them about it several times in previous lives, but they never took it seriously. I only had the slight possibility that they might believe me. Hopefully the possibility is as small as a miracle. It should be engraved on the side of a die. My friends overcame their fates, and they all rolled a 6. Should I call that a miracle? Please, God, let me roll a 6 again. Please let them believe that death is upon them. Erie turned the light on as soon as he finished his presentation. There were about 8 men wearing lab coats inside the meeting room. The man sitting at the far end was the only person without one. Upon seeing Erie finish his speech, he clapped his hands several times. Having noticed his applause, the other men in the room soon followed suit. "Excellent. Very, very excellent. I'm quite satisfied with your progress. Your hard work has paid off, Dr. Erie." "No, I would say it's because of my incredible staff. I really do owe them my gratitude. We really are getting close to finding a perfect cure. There are a few more sticking points left, but they can all be resolved with time and financing. We're counting on your support on that front. With sufficient funding and labor, I estimate we'll be done within 3 years. By 1986, we should be able to establish a complete treatment for it. From here on out, our challenges are establishing a treatment package that other unspecialized medical facilities can easily administer, and developing an easier, cheaper test for it. With regards to testing, Dr. Erie is currently researching ways to detect potential patients through blood samples. Once that process is established, the test can be administered alongside regular physical exams, and we believe that will drive costs down significantly." "That's wonderful to hear. The current tests are pretty involved and expensive after all. Sorry, I'm truly grateful to hear you're considering the costs too. Healthy citizens are supposed to be our nation's assets, but it really is shameful to bring up the budget. But from our position, we'd like to shave every yen we can off the costs. Of course, we understand. If we established a treatment that was impossible due to costs, it'd just be a pie in the sky. It's our job to develop a practical treatment, not a theoretical one." Tomotaki started clapping again, and everyone followed him. "You're truly a respectable man, as well as a talented doctor. I'm honored to have met you. No, I can't sincerely accept your applause until every person has been treated, and this so-called curse of Yoshiro-sama has been exterminated. We hope for your continued cooperation until that time. Likewise, I'll do everything I can to make sure you receive the almost every yen in the budget you've outlined. Please keep up the good work." Tomotaki and Erie shook hands, and the meeting room was filled with applause yet again. That's it for tonight's meeting. Tomorrow is the main event we're all waiting for, the budget hearing. Let's all push hard. Takano was being sarcastic, of course. The staff members in lab coats are smiling bitterly. Well, I'll give my greatest efforts for the budget you all need. To be honest, I want to be on your side myself, but I'm the one who has to explain things to the brass, and the one they came down on directly. You have my deepest apologies, but regretfully, I'll be rigorously examining the budget. Please continue lending me your cooperation. That's your job, so we can't blame you. We'll see you tomorrow. In any case, that's it for today. Once Erie declared the meeting over, his white-coated staff gathered up their documents and left after glancing at the clock. It was almost midnight. The staff who were off tomorrow might be all right, but those scheduled to work needed to sleep soon, or it would hinder them the next day. Takano gathered up the butts in the ashtrays, as well as the empty coffee cans. My, some people didn't drink their coffee. We managed to get a coffee budget for meetings approved, but I wonder if they'll cut the budget if people don't drink it. Hee hee. Haha, don't be so mean. I'm not doing this because I enjoy you now. Oh, Takano-san. I'll take the leftover coffee. I'll take one too. That way the budget won't go to waste. Ha 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 ha. The two of them seemed more relaxed with the other staff members gone. Tomitaki and Eri loosened their collars in a sign of relief. How are Rika-chan and Satoko-chan doing? Are they doing fine? I heard last week that Satoko-chan's test results weren't that good recently. No, but it actually wasn't that big a deal. She was a bit out of sorts because of the heat wave. Her new results came out very stable. Hee, Dr. Eri is very passionate about Satoko-chan. That's not true. As a physician, I treat all of my patients equally to the best of my ability. But if she feels grateful and decides to become my maid, that would be wonderful, though that's proving quite difficult. It would be wonderful if there was a way to completely cure Satoko-chan, but I guess that's what's difficult. Once a patient reaches the L5 state like Satoko-chan has, it's easy for them to re-experience hallucinations, similar to a patient suffering from flashbacks. Those technically aren't caused by the disease, but by the normal defense mechanisms cultivated in the brain. Like the idiom, a scalded dog fears cold water, suggests the brain naturally uses past experiences proactively for our survival. In simpler terms, emotional trauma. Worse yet, we suspect she may have suffered damage directly to her frontal lobe, so she needs more delicate counseling and long-term medication than the usual trauma patient. You may be able to treat her illness, but you can't treat her mental health. Is that what you are saying? There are plenty of people functioning in society with emotional trauma. Even if she's just one more to the mix, that's still a miraculous recovery, considering the state she used to be in. Think about diabetic patients. There's no cure, but many of them live happily by managing their condition. She still needs 3 shots a day. No, she's recovered quite a bit, so she's down to twice a day now. I think that puts a lot less strain on her too. She was so afraid in the beginning, but Rika-chan talked her into it. Into getting the shots, you mean? Satoko-chan was told that she's receiving financial support for us by supporting our research, so she thinks that she's getting 2 shots a day not because she's sick, but as a test subject for your research. Jiro-san, it would be a horrible thing for us to explain to her what kind of illness she's suffering from. Didn't I tell you this before? Ah, well, I remember. Sorry for being insensitive. If you happen to see Satoko-chan somewhere, please be kind to her. All right, I will. By the way, Rika-chan is such a strong girl. Background is similar to Satoko-chan's, yet she's leading such a steady life. We have Rika-chan and her deceased parents to thank for all of this. Without their understanding and support, we would have never discovered even a hint at a cure so soon. She's even endured our inhumane experiments very well. We wouldn't have the results we do today without her support after overcoming her parents' death. I'd like to repay the debt we owe her somehow. I agree. Tokyo also recognizes that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan have rendered us a distinguished service. They will be compensated for their work someday. Hey, you guys don't even want to pay for our coffee filters, hee hee. Again, don't be mean. You keep bringing that story up. Ha 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 ha. But even though all we can do is compensate them with money, I wish there was a way to pay them back from our hearts. Takano muttered like she was talking to herself, but it almost sounded as if she was talking to them. I'm sure there are many ways for us to show our appreciation. There are many ways we can pay them back. Dr. Eri, Coach, I guess you're already doing that for them all the time. I suppose I should be nice to those girls, too. Indeed. Plus, Rika-chan was very nice to you today. Ah, I nearly forgot. I have to take that film to get developed first thing in the morning. It was such a wonderful experience. History, culture, the smell of it. Everything about it was wonderful. Eri wondered what she could have experienced during the day. Tomotaki could only smile and act like he didn't know anything. By the way, Takano-san, what do you think about what Rika-chan told us near the end of the day? End of today, what are your thoughts? I want to believe that it's only paranoia. She did say that there's no absolute proof either. What's going on? From what you said, it sounds like Rika-chan is showing some bad symptoms. Her test results from last week, I thought they came out pretty good. But did you see anything different, Dr. Irie? No. They were as stable as always. If Satrika-chan's results are a wave during the high tide, Rika-chan are the quiet surface of a lake. Haha, just like the personalities. What's the possibility of a sudden outbreak? What are you talking about? Don't tell me Rika-chan is showing symptoms of the disease progressing. Rika-chan asked us for something today. She wanted our protection because she feels like someone is going to murder her. No way. Who would try to kill her? That's impossible. Rika-chan is a beloved mascot here in the village, and I don't think she has any enemies. I think it was just her imagination, too. Why does she think that someone is trying to kill her? If she's experiencing paranoia, she may be in early L5 stage. She said she saw it in her dreams. She wants us to reinforce security around her because she feels threatened. For a young girl like that, it's not uncommon to get scared after having a nightmare. But we need to determine if it really was just a dream or if she's showing early symptoms of the disease. Okay, let's give her an urgent checkup tomorrow. I really hope nothing is wrong. She's the most valuable person in this village. I hope she's okay, but what should we do if she is? Jiro-san, if that's what she wants in return for what she showed us today, it's not even a big deal. She's worried about her safety and wants to rely on us. I think we should support her. That's what paying her back with our hearts is all about. You're right. Even if she was just dreaming, we'll lose her trust if we don't support her. This is our chance. We found a way to show her our appreciation. Yeah, I agree. Besides, she has a right to seek that support from us. Yes, we have to make sure to protect her at all times. That's true, though that's your job, not mine. So please give her your best. Understood. Takano-san, please do what you can to keep her safe. It's probably not so serious that we need to bring in the bloodhounds from Tokyo. Hee, true, you can't ask them to come over just because Rika Furude had a nightmare. Alright. I'll order at least 4 members of the Mountain Dogs to watch her 24 hours a day. That's impressive. That's tighter security than when I went to Tokyo. Hee. She deserves special treatment. I'll make sure she gets the best security in the country. No one would dare plot an assassination on her. I'll get the best bodyguards out there. Not even a super spy could lay a finger on her. Meow meow. Onagafushi Banzai. Takano-san, did something good happen? Well, I mean, aha. After looking through the items that had been donated for the auction, we had realized there was nothing kids would be interested in. Keiichi insisted that the show wouldn't be a success unless there was something that kids would beg their parents to buy. He's probably right. For that reason, we went to the toy store again today. We were trying to get the owner to donate something that would interest all the kids attending the festival. I see. I did get to sell off my old stock. I mean, different games the other day because of you guys. I want to support you if I can. My grandma wants the auction to be something that both kids and adults can enjoy. That's what she's hoping for, you understand. Can't you help us, Uncle Yoshiro? Well, if that's what your grandmother wants. Okay, I'll do my best. I don't know what she would say to me on New Year's Eve if I refused. Ha ha ha. Wow. I guess Mion's grandma is pretty scary. We have never met. but I have heard of how terrifying she can be. According to Shion-san, she enjoys ripping people's nails off. That's just Shi-chan trying to scare you. I know Mi-chan's grandma very well. She's a very nice lady. As long as you're polite to her. I'm impressed that she can refer to that monster as a nice lady. She's scary when you're not polite. Also, she's scary when you don't show proper respect. Nipah! So are you saying that she wouldn't be nice to me? Kei-chan, we have a deal. He said we can take some stuff. Ha 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 ha. His laugh was a painful one. How come the people in this village always listen to Mion? It's the power of the Sonozaki family. Mion is like their princess. No one would dare contradict her. You're also the princess of the Furude family, aren't you? Hee, thank you. The members of the Sonozaki branch homies who own the businesses usually get their funding from Mion's family. They can never go against the will of the main branch. The Sonozaki family made a fortune on the black market after the war, and they've invested those funds as capital in businesses run by the family and the villagers. They charge almost no interest and require no cosigners or collateral. So as long as one gives a proper explanation, they'll provide a notable sum. The money has to be paid back, of course, but it's lent between family and community. They're willing to make some adjustments if one goes begging. For that reason, everyone is borrowing money from the family. And that, more than anything, is why they can never refuse a request from Mion. Alright, try and find something that might be interesting to kids. I need something big in size. It's not that exciting to sell a deck of cards in an auction, you know? Big things will attract more attention. So we need to look for something big and expensive. Oh, ho, ho, leave it up to me. I'm very good at finding things like that. Let's try to be considerate of the owner too, everyone. No. Wow, look, Retta. This stuffed animal is so cute. What? Ah, how? It's adorable. I too like adorable things. I'm taking all of them home with me. You know, you guys, please don't take too much, okay? The shop owner smiled bitterly at us. What do you think this is, Kiichi-kun? It says swing on it. It's like a playground kind of swing. Wow, it's so heavy. It must be a build-it-yourself swing. You can build it inside the house or outside in the yard. It's not as big as the swings you see on the playgrounds, but it's big enough for little kids to play on. It's fun in the beginning, but they'll eventually get bored with it and be used to hang the laundry on instead. That sounds like it's coming from experience. Did you have one of these, Keiichi? In my last house. I got it for Christmas when I was little. It looks really impressive, doesn't it? That's a good choice, Rena. Here, Kei-chan. Stick this paper on it. People from the council will pick it up later. Mion handed Keiichi a piece of paper that said Town Council on it. She was carrying a whole stack of them. She's really thorough when it comes to things like that. Keiichi-san? How about this one? It's a small pool you can put in your yard. Ho ho, that's a good choice too. What do you think, Mion? Well, in Hinamizawa, you can always go to the river if you want to play in the water. I don't know about that one. But this goldfish pattern is adorable. I think this pool is a good one too, I think. I did enjoy that. When my son was very, very young, I know in front of my mom's house we had a small kiddie pool inflated, and me and my son played in that. He had a lot of fun. I think so as well. Doesn't it just look perfect for setting up all kinds of traps? No way, no way. I'm the one who's going to end up trapped in there. We're not taking this one. How about this one? It's an elephant slide. Meep. I think this one is nice too. I want to take it home with me. I need to go to bed. If I go to sleep the second after this uploaded, I should be able to get maybe 4 hours of sleep. Well, good night, everybody. I hope everyone has all the hugs and head patch you ever want. I hope you guys get plenty of sleep, and I hope it's good sleep. I hope you have good dreams, no nightmares, and that you stay hydrated. They have some ice-cold carbonated Pepsi, but also plenty of water. And occasional electrolytes, why not? But thanks for the nearly 4 hours of hanging out with this very cringe individual. I'll see you next time. Bye.